Hello and welcome to Thursday with a Friend. My name is Lawrence, Larry, Punk. You guys know me as all different types of things and probably call me much worse. But I have a special guest. You guys know the voice. You know his videos. Most of you probably don't know the face. Thank you, JLS Comics, for joining me. How are you tonight?
Doing well. I'm happy to be here.
I think
Thanks for
this is
inviting me.
thank you for giving me a little bit of time. I can only imagine how long those videos take for you to do. Uh,
Takes a
so
little bit of time.
the fact that you can give me a little bit of your time, I definitely do appreciate it. I think people are going to be excited to get to know you a little bit. I know I am. I talked to you before we went on about what the show is, and it's getting to know people in the community, not just what they do. So, how's your day been? How was your Hasbro Pulse GI Joe stream?
It was there was a couple things I liked, some frustrations with it, and some things that pissed me off with the whole thing. But overall, I mean, it was kind of to be expected. It's kind of it seems like they follow a pattern through the whole thing. And I actually did pre-order a couple things already, but there's quite a few that I'm not going to bother with.
Well, I know that's not what we're here to talk about, but what is it that you didn't like? Can I ask?
I didn't like that we're getting more Tiger Force. And how many more roadblocks do we need specifically? Like, I mean, come on. How many have there been already? So that was probably it. A couple things that Emily said. I don't want to go in on her too much, but she said a couple things like, "Oh, we're a fashion brand," that really just.
I think a lot of what she says is really joking around, but I
I
know
hope so.
I know a lot of it comes off. Um, it comes off at a point where people don't seem to like things that she says. I
Mhm.
know she made a comment when when they showed off uh, the MMS uh, figure, the Techno Viper, and she didn't know it. I'm like, oh my god, people are not gonna let that one go. Um, what else didn't you really like other than Tiger Force?
I mean, that was the big thing. I liked some of the retro stuff, like the Snow Serpent. Although, we could talk about this too, but snowboarding and stuff like that, I really enjoy. And disappointing that the snowboard was missing from this one, but I guess it'll be a lower kind of price point for that one. I like Doc. That's one that I ordered.
So
Um,
good.
yeah, that one's really good. And what was the other one I ordered? Oh, I actually ordered Jinx.
I really really like the Jinx. When I first saw the digital renders, that was my favorite one. We talked about it yesterday. She probably went down to about four from what we
Mhm.
saw, um, and not because I didn't think she was good, but just because I thought the other ones were so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really really do like that. I like the two different head sculpts, the fact that you have the blindfold. So
Yeah.
yeah, I really liked it, and I'm happy that we're finally going to see the MMS, SMS. I don't know. They seem to change the name for it.
Yeah, I do like the Techno Viper.
I
I
like
think that the Techno because you can buy them as the set and then the Techno Viper separately, but by the time I got to that one, it was already sold out.
the whole SMS.
No, just the Techno Viper on Pulse. So they had
That one's been sold out because that one went up a long time ago.
oh, did it? Okay, that
Yeah, yeah,
shows you
you
how
can
much
still
I
get
pay
it on.
attention to.
Yeah, okay, because that one's the classic colors.
Okay, that okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, you can get that on BBTS or Amazon or all those other good places that we buy our action figures from.
Yeah, right. And is it just me or so we both pre-ordered Doc?
I
It
ordered
looks
it.
like yeah, it's an extra dollar. They're going up a dollar on those.
BBTS
That
is.
okay?
Yeah, BBTS always has their stuff $1 more on most stuff, like classified legends, different
Yeah,
things like that. They're always $1 more, and I think that's because they know a lot of people are going to cancel on them. But people go there and
yeah.
order it because they can just put it in their pile of loot, and I've said before, unless you're doing reviews or you just have to have it, you don't have to be first. Um,
Hmm.
I obviously I'm on a time frame because I'm doing reviews, and I said everything's time sensitive when you're doing reviews. Um, but I think that's the reason why they're able to get away with it because it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. But I know,
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
like Mythic Legions and some of the other figures like that, I think they dictate exactly how much they have to pay, or else they won't allow them to have their license. Um, and that makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
but the Techno Viper, especially the classic one, I think looks really nice. It's
Hmm.
very impressive looking. So, was there anything else that that stood out to you?
The Night Creeper.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah,
I like them
that
all, to
was
be
good.
honest. I'm not gonna lie, I did like them all. I never had a Night Creeper until on the way back from Florida. I stopped at a store in Atlanta and bought one. So that's the first time I'd had one, and it didn't really do much for me. But when I saw this one, I've mentioned most of almost everything classified that they've done, even if it's something I didn't like in the past. I think they've done a really good job to make it look nice. I mean, I even think
Hmm.
that Nemesis Enforcer will probably look nice, even though I hate Cobra Law. I don't know your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I definitely have some thoughts on Cobra Law. I'll leave it at that.
Let's say hi to the chat really quick.
All
And
right, sounds
I
good.
gotta say, Big Bacon, where the hell have you been? A lot of people have asked where you've been. I'm glad to see that you're doing well. So, Aaron the Toy Enhancer, Matthew Matson, one of my moderators. We got Wraith Mace, who's here. J Astro 319. Turkish Murphy is here. Let's see. We got 80s Toy Boy, the Doug Collector. Dang, I thought I missed something. Nope, we're just getting going, so no need to worry there. Jeremy Kimberlin, who he kept all of those pictures coming. Uh,
Hmm.
Even as I was trying to go live yesterday, I was trying to get the Jinx into a PowerPoint. It was driving me nuts because I couldn't find them. Jason Kean here. Can't believe I made a Punk with Toys live stream. You're so EU antisocial. Boba Wave is here. So, all right. So, I'm going to start off with your name.
Yeah,
Where does your name come from for your Instagram name
my
or YouTube name?
whoops, my YouTube name. Whoop, there we
Yes.
go. It's not very creative. It's just my initials.
Okay.
That's it. I just wanted something that was fairly, I'll say, unique. Obviously, not a lot of people have my initials. I mean, in this order. But then after I committed to it, I realized that there's like a band in Japan called JLS, and so I had a bunch of questions about like, oh, are you a fan of that band? No, not just
Like,
my initials.
like
I wanted to change it after a while, but kind of brand identity or whatever. Not that I consider myself a brand, but I figured it was too late to change it at that point.
so you're kind of like Office Space with Michael Bolton.
Exactly. Yeah.
I should be a big fan of their music. No, I've told people before, like you have a set amount of time when you pick a name and a logo. You have a set amount of time before you can change it
Hmm.
because people have got to know that name. They've got to see that logo on thumbnails.
Hmm.
And if you decide to change it, and you're changing it all the time. And again, companies rebrand all the time, but it definitely does. It does pull away, and you're like, oh boy, like why'd they change that? Because I'm so used to this. I got to the Vision Streetwear one fairly quickly, uh, where I hated the background. I love that my daughter did it, but it was so low res, and so I was able to change it, and I got so many compliments on it. So I'm like, thank God for just cheating. Now we know how
Yeah,
Mike
exactly.
Ryland does it and gets away with it. So let's see, is there anything here? Okay, so let's say hi to Crusty Old Crow really quick. Hey Punk JLS, my main entertainment for the last month. Great to meet you, and hey everyone in the chat. And then we have Jason. Kian, been watching JLS videos for ages. Love them. I think you're going to get a lot
Thank
of
you.
that. I think I'm going to get a lot on the replay because I think people are interested to get to know who you are. Uh, so, do you mind me asking about like what your age range is? I know some people don't like to mention it.
Yeah, I'm 42.
Oh, so you're
So I'm a little bit on the younger side of the kind of
yeah, you're a
scale.
youngin.
Yeah. I don't
So
feel it. I feel like I'm like 85, but
yeah, I think after 40, you just have that lull of how you start to wake up and you start to realize that when you feel 100% in the morning, your
yeah.
100% is maybe 80% of what it's supposed to be. And it gets worse. It just keeps going
hmm
down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, I've taken some bumps and bruises over the years, and just kind of catches up with you after a while.
Yeah, it
In the
does, but
joints, the knees.
I do
Hitting
think that when
moguls
you
and it hurts.
stop, I think when you stop being athletic, stop putting your body through it, that's when you really start to see the breakdown.
Absolutely. Yeah, 100%.
So, where did you grow up at?
I grew up in Massachusetts and in New Hampshire for a while. I actually came down. I live in Florida now. I
Okay.
came down here in 2006. I don't know why I looked at the Florida thing that, but yeah, 2006. So,
Um, my moderator says he remembers 42.
oh yeah, good number.
um,
Number of life.
uh, spaded spaded one McDysentery. I know I said
Dys-
that wrong again.
Dysentery.
Dysentery. I don't know
Big
why. It's like
dysentery.
that word. I guess I'm kind of like Lenny when he saw McLeod and didn't know how to pronounce it. Everybody asking who is Stalker, but nobody asking how is Stalker. Deep.
That is deep.
Um. So you grew up. You were born in Massachusetts.
hmm
Did you come from a split home? Did you have siblings?
I have two. So I have two sisters. I had a brother. He passed away when I was 16. He was 19. So that was the three of us. But they have a different set of parents than I do.
Okay.
So
Different set of parents.
well, not set, but different fathers. Yeah,
Okay.
different pairings. You're
I
like, what
mean,
the hell does that mean?
are we going to go into that you were adopted like this?
No, I wasn't adopted. No.
So you had a brother that was 3 years older than you.
hmm
So growing up, did you have was he like a built-in play friend, or was that a gap big enough that he was like,
Yeah.
leave me alone, kid?
No, he actually had some like physical issues.
Okay.
So yeah, so he wasn't really, out on the BMX bikes with us or anything like that.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, but
Wh- What about your sisters?
they they tagged along with me. They kept up pretty well. They still do.
Older or younger?
They're both younger.
Okay.
Yeah. So I became the older brother after what happened, and
Now, are your parents still together, or because you said that?
I've had a lot of family pass away, and I don't know why I'm laughing when I say that, but
Now you made me laugh. Damn it!
so kind of down to
Floor.
an aunt, an
Floor.
uncle, and my mother, and that's it as far as
Okay.
family. Yeah.
Um, don't worry. We've gone to some dark places before.
Okay.
I
Well,
mean,
I'll
it's
tell you
not.
this: it makes the holidays a lot cheaper.
I we well, my mom passed away when I was 13, and for the longest time, when someone would say a mom joke, I would throw that. My mom's dead, and
Yeah.
we'd watch them just like normally their face would completely change, and no way was I like I'm I'm throwing it out as a joke. But again, if you don't laugh at certain things, and it doesn't mean you're laughing at the whole situation.
No.
Yeah,
I
cool.
think I picked this up from my aunt, but we, at a funeral, somebody, the person, and you just think about their life and something funny that happened, and I'm the person who will like start chuckling there in the pew, you know.
Cobra Commander says Punk always asking about the sisters. Listen, I even got to the point if I ask if they're attractive or not and single.
They're not, by the way. Single.
No, I get you corrected. No, they're not. I mean, they're not single.
Yeah. They may be watching. I gotta, make sure not insulting
Exactly.
them.
I fully understand, and they also probably don't be trying to hook me up on some internet date with some guy. um, Guys, see, this is what happens. They distract.
We're already off the rails.
This is why we never get a stream done in like the 1.5 to 2 hour format that I was hoping for. So, as a kid, what toys did you get into early on? Because at 42, I mean, you were born after the Star Wars figures had already come out. So, so do you remember like what toys like were the first big toys that you remember playing with?
I mean, I kind of, the period when I start kind of remembering a lot of things was mid to late 80s. So, I was picking up a lot of TMNT, Transformers, G.I. Joe, especially like the 86 to 88 time period. Really enjoyed those. I remember I had a Sky Striker and I used to walk around with it, like holding the wing and just like swing it back and forth. So,
like a briefcase?
Yeah, exactly. Just kind of like a switchblade, like this knife here, just
I know exactly.
with the swing wing, just playing with it,
Do you look back now and cry and go, that was worth so much money now?
Yes, I do.
It is so awesome.
Yeah.
You remember like G.I. Joe, and so I mean, did you have like a favorite toy growing up, or did you mix and match stuff? Because I know there's a lot of people that won't. I know I didn't mix and match like different sizes. Well,
look at my shelves behind me here. That'll tell you your answer. There's some Marvel, some DC, Star Wars, Voltron's up there.
But did you play with them together? Like I was never gonna play with the G.I. Joe and a Motu figure. I'm sorry, a He-Man figure. They're always He-Man. I didn't even realize they were Masters of the Universal, 2021 or so.
Yeah, I mean, I would just play with, whatever toys I had at the moment and, just kind of build my own world that way, I didn't really feel like I had to segment things.
Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. I used to love, I mean, it's kind of funny. I look back and like I used to build the dioramas. I'd spend all day building a fortress, knowing that it's going to get destroyed in 30 minutes. But to me, that was always the most fun. And I kind of look back and now I'm like, I didn't realize like that's what I was doing. Graf says never mix toy lines with an angry face. And Jeremy Kimberly says Lost creates dark humor as an amputee and make lots of dark cripple jokes. Well, you're less of a man now, Jeremy. I'm sorry. I gotta have Jeremy on one day because I know he had part of his foot amputated, and so did my neighbor, who decided to tell me while I was grilling out of nowhere, and it was kind of like, dude, like I'm like, why? Like, I don't know you like that. Why are you telling me this stuff?
Right.
So what was your favorite toy line growing up? I mean, as you start to get older, at least for me, like I know I used to gravitate to obviously G.I. Joe, but was there something you just gravitated to that has it always just been whatever was cool?
Just all the cool shit. I really liked Voltron growing up. That was one show I liked to watch a lot, and just kind of, I'd sit down in front of the TV and just watch the whole lineup, and all the shows that would come on. So I didn't really necessarily have a favorite, but
I hate when anyone says Voltron because I never watched it.
Oh my God,
I never got into it, and I feel like I missed something because so many people love it. And every time someone brings Voltron, I feel like I'm like I should put my head down in shame or something.
Hey, we don't judge. Okay, so Machine Man said Voltron best theme ever. So this other show that I liked, and this kind of plays into my opinion on Cobra Law, is I don't know if you've probably heard of it, Jason the Wheeled Warriors.
I love Jason and World Warriors.
Yeah, that is one of the best theme songs ever with that show. Yeah,
That is
but
the
with
one
like the,
toy line I keep saying, bring that back.
100%. But like the monster mines and the things that Jace and his team would kind of combat, I really like that. And I think that kind of played into me not having such a angry visceral reaction to Cobra Law. It's more kind of tenable to me because they were kind of not the same, but just kind of like the plant aspect of it was already in something that I liked from a couple years before. So if you
Yeah.
think about like when I grew up in the time frame, I think that was like 85 or so. And then Cobra Law was a couple years later. So it kind of like eased me into the idea of Cobra Law a little bit better than some other people.
Okay, so you're making a case for it. I still hate, still hate him,
Yeah.
but you're making a case, and it's bad because I remember those Jason Wheel Warriors, and I think anytime I'm on a stream or in something where they're like, name 3 properties you wish someone would come back with, it, Jason Wheel Warriors is always one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was the first real, like, at least that I can remember, the first real line that was meant to kit bash.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it literally
Yeah.
was meant to kit bash. So I mean, I absolutely love that, and it's awesome to hear that that you like that. And like I said, you're a little bit younger, so by then that would be long gone, wouldn't it?
What do you mean? By the time
Jason and the
I
Warriors, that would have been the cartoon would have been long gone. Other than reruns, weren't they?
I mean, they may have been reruns, but I was
Yeah.
watching it in the mid 80s all the
Okay.
time. Maybe not all the time, but
I'm trying to
pretty
think of
regularly.
when they were out. I know, like, if you look at the price of them now, they're super expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like Silverhawks.
Yeah.
Those are surprisingly expensive.
So I want to show this because before I lose it, I did start, but I forget. So Crusty Old Crow said, "Do you get a lot of messages correcting character info in your videos? Is there an example of one that made you laugh?"
So yes, I do. And you know what? I like hearing people's input on what I've said. Maybe I missed something, or I especially when I was starting kind of with this format that I do now, I would maybe misspeak or mispronounce something or things like that. And so people would go in the comments and say, hey, this is the right way to say that, or it's actually this thing. That's a great way to learn, right? You can learn from that. But there was one time, I forget which video it was. You could tell by the country. It was a city in Scotland, and I butchered the name of the city, and I had all these people in my comments just just going in on me, just saying like, this is an exaggeration, but like I hope you die in a blast furnace. It's essentially what they're saying, just because I mispronounced a name of a city, and it just felt a little extreme. So that's kind of stuff makes me laugh. But luckily, I don't get too many like super angry hater type comments these days.
I don't know if you saw the video that I did for the members only. Me reading some of the
I
mean
did,
comments.
yeah.
It's funny because, like you said, there's a way to say it. There's a way to let someone know, and
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people used to
Yeah.
get mad because they used to call them clips, not magazines. And so I did.
Oh,
I went and
that's the
looked, and
big one, yeah.
I saw the difference and went, okay, I see. And you can tell when someone's usually being nice, and then you can tell when someone's just being a total dick. And it just makes me laugh because you're like, man, you're really angry about this.
Exactly, yeah.
So Jason Kean says, I've learned so much from JLS videos and always go to his channel for character lore, but can he please slow down his narration a little?
Yeah. Thank you, Jason. I appreciate that. I will say I do try that. There's a lot of kind of content and material that I want to include. That's the other thing. If I don't include something, I guarantee there'll be somebody in the comments saying, "Hey, you didn't say this," right? So, and I try to keep the videos to a 20 minutes or less. So, kind of with those two things, it's my normal just kind of cadence of how I talk. And, growing up in New England, people talk a little bit faster than other areas of the country. So it feels a little unnatural for me to slow down. What I would suggest if you feel like I'm talking too fast in the video is you actually have some control over the speed of the video. So you could watch it on 0.75 speed and it'll automatically slow it down for you. Also turn on like the CC option, the closed captioning.
Yeah.
And that'll, you can read it. So if you feel like you're not keeping up with what I'm saying, you can read the words on there and, maybe like pause it or something. I have gotten comments where I do talk, kind of fast. And I do, since then, I have like made an effort to slow down a little bit, but I don't want to go like too slow. So I hope that makes sense.
But there's also something to say about you doing your own voice. I can't tell you how many videos and shorts that I watch, and I'm like, oh, these are just AI voices now.
Mm-hmm.
And they pick a specific voice, and it sounds real until you realize, like, oh, there's 18 different channels that I listen to that use the exact
Yeah, it's like,
voice.
wow, this guy has a lot of channels.
Exactly. And,
Yeah.
it's like, all right, so it's just an AI voice, and sometimes it's a female and a male. So there's something to say for that is very authentic because, here you are sitting behind this camera, having this whole video to go that you are talking through. We're gonna get into that more later, but I wanted to ask questions. So if you have questions, hold on because we will get into that because it's gonna be a big part of this.
Yeah.
So as you start growing up, and we all tend to get out of toys. Well,
Mm-hmm.
not all. Did you ever did you get out of toys, or were you one of the people that always stayed into it?
I didn't get out of toys until I, went off to college
Wow.
in the early 2000s. Sold everything off. Beer and dates are kind of expensive, so had to make some money. And not making a lot of money at that point. Just heading off to college in upstate New York and needed some loot in my pocket. So I sold off my comics and my original collection. Just kind of unloaded everything, and that's another regret. But I guess kind of with that is I had fun recollecting. Getting back those things and reliving that nostalgia by chasing those things down again that I remember having. So it wasn't like a total regret, but yeah, I did get out of it for a while.
So in high school, like what were you doing? Because you couldn't have just been playing with toys, I would assume, right?
Yeah, I was just in the lunchroom the whole time and not going to. No, I'm just kidding.
You're like the only kid playing with your little O-ring figures in the corner.
Yeah, and Hank Hill came out and went, "That boy ain't right."
So what did you do through high school? Like, did you find
I was
sports?
just getting into a lot of trouble with my friends.
Okay.
Playing some sports, did soccer, cross country, track and field. I was doing, martial arts after school, I mean. And on the weekends, I had a group of friends and we were just getting up to a lot of nonsense as, teenagers do. One of my friends, Andy, his mother had a Volkswagen station wagon, and we would just beat the crap out of that thing. We when we had licenses, of course. It was like a big hill. We would, this road, and we would do our best to like try to get some air off of that with our car.
With your car.
With his mother's Volkswagen, not Volkswagen, Volvo station wagon.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were really influenced by, I don't know if you know Tom Green.
Yes.
He was like Joker before Jackass and the CKY crew came up, right? He was like the OG
pro skateboarder.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So we were doing that. Like we were watching, I don't know if you ever heard of like Krusty, Demons of Dirt. It was like all the like freestyle motocross guys, like Jeremy McGrath, Travis Pastrana, like all those guys. They were doing something similar and then like doing these like awesome stunts, with with their dirt bikes out in the desert, just getting up to some trouble. And we would kind of do something similar. We go out in the sand pits and, with our own dirt bikes, and in the winter, because we were up in New England, we were, skiing and snowboarding, snowmobiling, just at that time, it was all about just being outside and having fun. So, that's what we were doing a lot.
Okay, so so you said you snowboard. Are you
Mhm.
goofy or regular?
Regular.
Okay, so does it? I talked about this, and people like didn't get it or said I was stupid. Did it bother you that the um, snow serpent snowboard was goofy?
Not really. No.
I'm like, I'm never gonna use it.
Yeah.
I just that switch to me, and I'm a skateboarder, but that's how I see it, and I'm like, I can't use it. They should have made it so it rotated so I could. But that's how I visually see skateboarding, right? Like I visually see
Yeah.
myself skating regular. So you put them on a snowboard, it's essentially the same thing in that direction. So I just had to ask that. Yeah, see, Jason. Jason says Snow Serpent is goofy.
Goofy. Yep. I have to be honest with you. I haven't opened mine yet. I still have it over here in the box. Yeah.
Oh wow! Look at that Mauler behind or Mobat
Yeah.
behind you. Wow, how do you let something like that just sit in a box?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, you know what? I'm really bad. I'm not necessarily an inbox collector, but I do have some classified stuff I haven't opened up.
Okay. Any
Just
reason?
to prove it, I'm building a his tank right now, so I do open stuff up.
I had a his tank like that. It was broken.
Yeah.
So it didn't snap on, and I used to use the body of the his tank as the V ship because it reminded me of the little V ship that they came down and flew around. So that's what I would always do with that thing. So
Yeah.
Michael Flores asks, were you in the military? He seems to know a lot about what MOS goes into which schools.
No,
So,
I was not in the military. No.
okay.
Yeah.
Because you just say you went off to college. So
Yeah.
when you went off to college, you graduate high school.
Mm-hmm.
Are you in Florida yet?
No, not yet.
Okay.
I went from Massachusetts to upstate New York, where I went to school.
All right.
Actually, I was going to go either to Annapolis or to the school I went to in upstate, and I chose that one because I wanted to go for psychology, and that's the direction I went in for.
Okay, so you went
that
to school
choice
for
Yeah.
psychology.
Yeah.
Now, did you stay in that?
In psych, no, I just have more of a business,
Okay, because you made it sound like I went there for that.
Yeah.
Somehow I ended up making YouTube videos.
Yeah. Well, this isn't my job. This is just like
Oh, I
Yeah.
know that. Believe me, I know that because I see what YouTube pays.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
All these people think like you're making so much money, like you probably get all this free stuff, like and how much you think I'm making from YouTube, but it ain't that much. So did you end up graduating?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, so then you went on to what you went for psychology, but then you ended up changing it, or did it just deteriorate into something else?
Well, I still wasn't out of my getting into trouble phase then, so I ended up transferring to a different school called Plymouth University, and I finished up there.
Okay.
But when I was in New York, I was, that's when I was spending all my money on beer and dates with sorority. That I had sold off my collection, so I was doing that. Maybe focused a little bit too much on that, and I was a DJ there too. At the
really?
At the school radio. I had a show with my friend Nikki, and we would be talking too much. So we would play a lot of like rock music. It was still like early 2000s, so a lot of alternative and punk rock, like Blink-182 was still coming out with albums, pretty not regularly, but there was stuff coming out. So we were playing a lot of that because there was a lot of the radio stuff. And then at night, I had a lot of requests for like rave music, so I would play that stuff. And we still had like what do they call those like 8 tracks that you
Yeah.
would plug in, and that would be the commercials that we would play. So I think I was one of the
Oh,
first ones there who started playing. Um, this is probably bad, but I was downloading songs off of Napster and then like playing them through my laptop. So I was like one of the first people doing MP3s there. But
wow. First off, just to bring up Napster is one thing. That's some people. I mean, I think everyone here knows what Napster is. But the fact that you were doing that, and again, I know exactly what you're talking about with the 8 tracks. Where that's what you put into
yeah.
the commercial, and
Mhm.
they did that for years. I don't know if they still. I doubt they still do it. Everything's probably digital by now. But that is that's awesome. So
Yeah, those were fun. It was with my friend Nikki, and like I was saying, so we would play the music, but we would like talk, in between, kind of
yeah,
like the morning shows, how
morning
they
show.
just kind of shoot the shit. And I had someone call in, and it's kind of like the comments that we were talking about. Like somebody said, "Can you just like press play and like play some music and like stop talking?" So we ended up, in honor of that person, we named the show "Just Press Play."
See,
So
to me, like that, when there's a story behind something and why something gets called that way, or like a name of obviously a show, uh, that means so much, because the fact that that is still there, like in your guys' mind, like,
mhm.
do you still talk to? Is Nikki a boy or a girl?
A girl.
Okay, do you still talk to
Yeah.
her at all?
No, I don't, unfortunately. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know, like, if maybe like you shoot like YouTube, not YouTube, Facebook. That's what us old people. My kids are like Facebook's for old people.
Yeah.
That was MySpace.
That's right. But before that, it was AOL, right?
The AOL, the chat rooms. So was that just like a gig through school, not anything that you pursued or anything?
Yeah, it was just some like a fun hobby that I just wanted to do for a while, but I never kept up with it.
Now, is it something you would say helped you with this?
Mm,
Just the fact that, again, not everyone wants to hear their
yeah.
voice. I think we all hate hearing our voice. It's just accepting that this is what I sound like.
Exactly. I think that a lot of people, when you have never heard your voice outside of like your own head, you can be taken aback by it. Like, oh my God, I sound like that. But it's just, it's just a matter of getting used to it. GeoCities, yeah, exactly. Um, it's so, just one of those things where you just have to hear yourself and just accept it. You
And
can't really change it.
that's what
I
I
know
think.
somebody before said I have a unique voice, and unless I get surgery, it is what it is. So I'm not going to worry about it.
Yeah, and again, I don't think that they, um, I don't think he meant it in a bad way. It's just a
No,
unique.
yeah, yeah.
Again, but like everyone, and I listen to a bunch of different YouTubers that talk about how to grow your brand and how to give better content for people. And one of the questions I'll never forget, and I tell people all the time when they're just like, um, when they say, I don't like the way I look and I don't like the way I sound. He said, understand this: how you look and how you sound is how everyone sees you every single day.
Hmm.
So even though it seems odd to you, that's what we all see. That's what everyone sees. So don't think twice about it. Um, did I? I don't remember saying I hate your voice when I first heard it. I'm not saying I didn't, but I'm saying I don't remember that.
Yeah. So I didn't say that out loud, did I?
So you graduate from college.
Yeah.
Um,
Went
did,
back to Massachusetts, was living in Boston for a while. That was like 03, I would say. And then 2006, I came down here to Florida.
now, did your family move down there, or was it just you just said I need?
I mean, I have some family. Not that I talked to them, but and we have a family friend with a farm, a few hours north of us, because I'm like 4 hours or so south of Orlando.
Okay.
So they're like more up that way. And it's like, I was trying to decide where to move, and I'm okay. Well, there's some family I have in Florida, so like a little bit of a connection if something comes up, but they're still far enough where it's like you have to plan the trip and they have to call ahead. I have had some family who have this bad habit of just like showing up randomly, and I don't like that. So I figure 4 hours north is enough where they have to call ahead and say, "Hey, we're on our way."
I think it's weird when people just show up. No one
I
ever
do
shows
too.
up. Yeah, because it was one thing when you're kids, but after a while, it's like I have a family. Don't just show up at my house.
Yeah.
Unless
It
it was
kind of
like,
comes across as like you're assuming I was doing nothing with my day and now I can cater to you, or I
yes,
had no plans, or it just I don't like it.
and I mean, it's one thing if it's like your best friend that you've grown up with or whatever, but yeah, it feels like that, and again, me getting back into skateboarding at this age, and all the guys I skate with,
Yeah.
other than a couple, are younger, and they just don't. I'm like, I listen. We're gonna skate on Wednesdays. I get it, but I need to know before 2 or 3 or 4 o'clock when or where, because you want to go to different parks. I got to figure out where I'm at for my work, and I have kids at home that need to be fed. Or I'm like, just can't we
Yeah.
just decide on Tuesday, and then I have all day to figure out the logistics if I can make it there or not.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Looks like the chat agrees with us. Always call first or text first. Just let them know you're coming. That's it. I think
okay,
we're all in agreement there.
first off, there's only a few people that I'll take phone calls from. All right, Tony is one of them. I did call Matthew on the way home. Yeah, text me. Um,
Yeah,
and if
exactly.
you call me and I don't answer, don't text me. It means I'm probably avoiding you.
Right.
Unless it has something to do with my
Screening
kids.
your calls. Yeah.
All right, so you moved back to Massachusetts and you said I got to go to Florida.
Yeah.
Did you move by yourself? Did you meet
Mhm.
someone? Did you say
No, I just needed to get the hell out of the cold weather. That's really what it came down to. There was no like big thought that went into it. Just need a change. 10 months of winter, exaggeration, but it felt like that was getting too much, and I just said I heading for a warmer climate, and wound up down here.
so? Snowboarding didn't mean that much to you.
I miss it. I miss snowboarding. I miss skiing. I miss we didn't talk about this, but I used to do this thing called street luge. You ever heard of that?
No.
Okay, so it's basically like a 9 foot long metal skateboard.
Okay.
You lay down
Oh,
and you're going down hills, right?
yeah.
Straight down. You're steering with your body weight. You kick your leg out to steer. You're braking with the heels of your shoes. I used to wear my motocross gear and my MX helmet and gloves and like the cheapest shoes I could find at like a Payless, just because they had big rubber soles. After one day out on the
You're
hill
gonna
or
burn
the
right through
road,
them.
yep, there'd be no heel left on those damn things. But we were one of the first. It was a group of us, so one of the first kind of teams who were doing street luge in the whole country.
Really?
Yeah, so we were kind of on the forefront of that. I'm making that sound like more than what it actually is, but we were my other friend, his dad had a barn, so with like all this fabrication stuff, so we could kind of like weld stuff in there. We were borrowing like our trucks and wheels from our skateboards. Like I was just welding these independents to the bottom of these I beams, and it was a lot of fun.
That is
Um,
crazy.
we did the street luges that were in horrible movie, but rollerball. One of the there's a remake, the remake I'm talking
Okay,
about.
I know what you're talking about.
Um, yeah, I forget who was in it. I want to say Chris Pine, but yeah, there weren't many people who were able to make those at the time. So
Jeff Butler. It's a wonder
yeah,
you're still alive, Princess Leia.
yeah. I had
um,
a couple friends. I don't know if you've ever heard of Bodie Miller. He's a skier.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So him, our other friend Cam, and I were, we were out, kind of hitting some of the slopes and, pretty hard. He went off. He did, his story. He went to the Olympics. Cam was going to be going to the X Games, and he unfortunately was coming home one night, and he hit a moose. And I don't know if you've ever seen a moose. I'm sure you have. Not like in real life. Those things are massive. So his car hit it. It broke the legs of the moose, and the moose fell back on his car, and he was paralyzed. So yeah, that was really sad. I spent probably 2 weeks nonstop and just hanging out with him in the hospital. But he's still doing sports, not snowboarding, but kind of like, I forget what it's called, but it's more like a chair, and you go down. So he's still getting after it, even after that tragedy, which is really great to see.
There's a, and this was before I got back into skateboarding. He was sponsored by the skate park that I go to, and they were doing a snow event. And he went to do a trick down the rail, I think they said, and he fell forward and did the scorpion, which is scorpion, right? And
it's like a nasty face plant, basically.
Yeah, but his legs went over and paralyzed him.
Ouch.
So every single year, Modern Skate does a. It's right around what's the leprechaun thing? What's the leprechaun holiday where everyone gets drunk? St. Patty's Day.
St. Patty. Okay.
I think his name is Pat.
St. Pat.
What?
St. Pat.
Yeah, I forget what his name is. I think it's Pat, but he's part of like the Detroit Pistons like basketball, like wheelchair basketball team, and they set it up in the one room, and they do like a whole event for it and everything, and all the proceeds go to him. So I think it's super cool, but yeah, Orc, I have never skated Love Park, and well, I wouldn't now anyway, but it's gone. Definitely not now, but my knees don't skate big things. All right, so you moved down to Florida. You do all this crazy stuff, like
but no hills here. That was the point of me bringing that up. Is other than skiing and snowboarding, there was no hills for me to do street luge down here. The highest point around here is like the flyover for I-95. That's it. I'm not doing that on the highway.
That is awesome. Like the stuff.
Although, it would make for a great YouTube video.
Should let me know when I went down to Florida. We could have done that.
Yeah.
I watched the skaters that go hauling down in San Francisco, and a lot of it's stupid because there was a guy that recently got killed because he just went and he cut through the cars or whatever, and he wasn't paying attention. He felt, hey, you know what? If my time is now, my time is now. I think that's a stupid way to live, but some people are okay with it. And he ended up losing his life. There's been more than a few, but I watched some of those things, and again, you may be doing street luge, but you know what the speed wobbles are. You get speed wobbles, that's when you start shaking. I would assume that maybe they're easier to control when you're laying down just because of the weight.
It's actually not because of the length of it and the weight. Once you get that thing in rotation, it's hard to stop it. And if you're at speed, that back end's still going to kick out on you.
Yeah. But I just know from skating, like you get the speed wobble and like, you're almost dead. Like you're going down. Like there's almost no way to get around it. That is crazy. Like, it
happened to me on my dirt bike. Handlebars shaking, It's you take a nasty spill right over the front of that. I wound up upside down in a tree once because of that.
You just hope that it's not your handlebars that are actually shaking.
Exactly.
So when you got to Florida, what exactly did you do? You obviously no street luge, no snowboarding, no skiing.
Yeah.
What were you doing when you went? Like, did you have a profession, like a job, or were you just?
Yeah, no, I work. I don't want to get into like too much detail about like my actual work, just OPSEC basically. But that's kept me very busy for quite some time.
All
And
right.
then, just kind of that's when I unfortunately started to slow down a little bit from like physical sports. I was still like working out and running and doing a lot of that kind of stuff, but as far as like extreme sports and that type of stuff, I kind of slowed down on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, it gets harder as you get older. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, can't do a cab flip anymore.
Kenzo says, "What's up, gents? Just another day of Lawrence on live. No, I won't be on tomorrow. I promise you."
Yeah, you've been going a few days in a row here. You're an
Yeah, I
animal with these live shows.
yesterday, and then I went Monday, and then I did Saturday for Oz. So it's been more than I normally plan on it. Toyamic just joined, and B's Battleground popping in real quick to say I love JLS Joe videos, and we'll watch the replay in the gym tomorrow. Lawrence is all right, I guess.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
uh, Bobby does great reviews. And if you don't like spending 30 minutes watching mine, you can watch one in like 12 minutes and hear like maybe the greatest toy voice ever going. That guy just has like the deepest voice. I thought he was a 65, 70-year-old man that smoked cigarettes because you never saw him. And then I find out he's like 29 years old. Like, yeah, I'm gonna need a vacation putting out this work. So when you get down to Florida, obviously you said, I mean, you're still there, correct?
Yeah, I'm still in Fort Lauderdale to be specific.
But that's not where you first moved, correct?
Yeah, I've been in this area this whole time.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, you didn't say where. Fort Lauderdale is a pretty big city. I thought you meant like you were kind of like off in like a Stark, Florida. I only know Stark, Florida because I had to go down there for work one year.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, I'm in Fort Lauderdale, which, like I was saying before, it's about 4 hours south of Orlando and
Yeah.
that whole area. Yeah.
So did you end up ever getting a family, meeting anyone?
Kind of, some sad story there. Yeah, but these days I'm kind of more lone wolf McQuaid. Well, I will tell you, I did, once I stopped the kind of the physical activity stuff, I was getting into like car racing and,
Okay.
not necessarily like street bikes, but that's where I wanted. And I would think I'm going to get like a nice Ducati next or something like that. But that's really when I got down here. I put a lot of my free time into cars and racing.
So you're a car buff,
Yeah.
like the import tuners or like big V8?
If it goes fast, I like it. That's kind of my. If I can get that adrenaline rush from it, I'm all about it.
Because there are people that are like they're only about their little four banger imports. They've put 5 turbos and 3 superchargers on. I know you can't really.
And that decal for an extra 5 horsepower.
I used to have a Canon air filter on. I'd stick
Yeah.
around there. And I will live and die by the Canon filter. If you buy a car that you're going to be driving a lot or you're keeping for a while, spend $50 on it and then clean it once a year, and you are good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's good. I had a 3 Series that I just went into the engine bay and I cut out the charcoal filter, and not the same thing, but just little things like that you can do. Like they surprisingly make a difference.
That is awesome. And listen, you guys are asking questions. I am trying to star some of the questions so we can talk, so we can answer them later. So stick around. But yeah, so sounds like you're kind of like me, just running solo right now.
Yeah.
It's not the worst thing in the world. I ain't gonna lie.
Less headaches, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, no one yelling at you for what toys you buy or what you do.
Exactly. I can put all this out and not have to worry about someone bitching at me.
I tell you what, man. When my ex left me, I looked around and I'm like, this house is going to represent I told the kids, I said, it's going to represent us.
Mhm.
That turned into be me, but I paid for the place. So. Like I mean, that was 8 years ago or 7 years ago that she moved out, and I put like skateboards on the wall, but not just like thrown up there because you see people, hey, they put guitars up, no one thinks about it, but it's like that was a big part of my life, still is a big part of my life, but I
Yeah,
wanted to make it so it felt like it's our home and it's not this sterile place where it doesn't look like it's lived in. I
exactly.
absolutely hate that.
Yeah.
And
I was thinking about, like, on this wall doing, like, a row of skate decks, like G.I. Joe themed or something like that, that I would never have been able to do if,
so Primitive did these Transformer decks, and
Mhm.
they were vintage. I want to say there were 8 of them, and I bought 2 of them because I like the boards. Unfortunately, I snapped both of them like super easy, but they all went together. So if you had all 8 of them, they told the story, and it was, I mean, vintage Optimus
Oh, that's
Prime,
cool. Yeah.
Shockwave. There were so much money right now, and I wish they would do. I wish they would, but I kind of don't because I know I'd spend money I don't want on it. The vintage GI Joe stuff. I mean, if they had like the Crimson
Yeah.
Twins and Cobra Commander and all them, and all their stuff is licensed because the owner of Primitive is uh, the son of Paul Rodriguez, the comedian. So he's one of those, not only one of the best skateboarders in the world and of all time, but also he has business acumen. I think a lot of it comes down from probably being around dad's agents and different things like that. So, but they would do some really good ones. But they had these Transformer ones, and they looked awesome. Like if you see them all lined up, and I
Nice.
was looking at
Yeah.
the price of them. I'm like, oh my god, I wish I would have rode either one of those that I bought and snapped them. I mean, that was even worse. I snapped them so easily.
Yeah.
I think one lasted like 3 days. um,
I think I saw some, like, maybe a year or so ago that were, Turtles, TMNT. I
hmm.
don't know who made them, but those look pretty dope. I have to figure out, let me actually look.
I know I got it's hung on my wall, an Element Motu one, and on eBay it's worth a lot, but I don't see anyone buying it. So to me, it means it's worth nothing. Um, yeah, OLU says the
Yeah,
Primitive
I'll
and
look for it.
Adidas team are so good. Every single team is so good. That's what's crazy. The Primitive is one of those crazy ones, but he does so many he gets so many licensed products. Right now they're doing right now they have the license for Marvel. So they're doing a bunch of the Marvel ones, and they look really cool. But again, the Transformers ones just look so good because they told the whole story, and they were
Yeah,
the
that's
classic
cool.
'80s
Yeah,
G1 figures that we all loved.
but that's how they get you. You gotta get the whole story,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
right?
Yeah. Until you start breaking them, you don't think they're gonna be worth money. Like I look at them now, I'm like, I could have just bought them off for like $50 each, and they're selling on eBay. What's even crazier. And I'm like, I think I got one downstairs broken in two. I know I have pictures on my personal Instagram and Facebook. So, all right. So you're down there. When did you
Yeah.
start getting into this? Like, when did you get back into
YouTube?
toy collecting? And
Oh,
then, like, did
um,
that start pretty early?
yeah, I mean, I never, like, I always had kinda, like, one foot in the door, I would always, just kinda, "Hey, let me cruise down the toy aisle," or, the movies started to come out in '08, I think it was, like, the Marvel movies, and, I really started to that was 2 years after I moved out here, so just started to kind of get my mind back into, like, "Yo, that stuff's still pretty cool. Let me, see what the world's doing there," and from that point, I started to, get that, like, feeling of, like, nostalgia and, like, okay, well, seeing what's out now and then kind of, like, wanting to pick up the stuff that I used to have and then also working my way backwards, like, through comics and whatnot, like, from the present day and kind of filling in the story about like, here's what's happening now. Here's what I remember happening. How the fuck did we get here? Right. So filling in the gap of the stories. And, that was kind of the catalyst for me, kind of getting back into all this stuff.
So, are you a big comic collector?
Yes, I am. I have
Okay.
quite a few. Yeah.
Because
Just right here. These are all the comics I've picked up. These are all just G.I. Joe in like the past couple weeks.
wow.
And I have a huge stack at my local comic shop that I need to pick up.
Most of the people that I've talked to, a lot of them, not most, a lot of the people that I when I've done the show, when they got out of toys in high school, it seemed like a lot of them went over to the comics because it was easier to hide, and it wasn't comics.
Yeah.
Again, you were kind of a comic dork, but it wasn't looked down upon. Where if someone walked in your house and saw comics, they don't really think too much. But if they saw a bunch of action figures, they're going to be like, "How old are you again?" Because I heard many of the people on here, many of the guests were like, "Yeah, I had a younger brother, and I could always be like, oh, it's my brother. He was in here playing."
Yeah, a good excuse. But I mean, I have to like if you look at my content, it's a lot of comic stuff, so I have to like I need to know what I'm talking about, so I got to read this shit,
Because if you don't know what you're talking about, people are going to yell at you.
Yeah, people will pick up on it. They'll say this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. Let me just bounce from this channel and not even bother with it again. And
so Toyamic Displays asked, do you use a tracking app for comics like CLZ?
I don't have CLZ at the moment, but I would say that is absolutely the best like tracking and cataloging software that you can find. There's other ones out there that are kind of free and things like that, but that CLZ is like the gold standard, I would say, for that. So I need to get back into that. And I do pretty well. Like I keep like a nice alphanumeric system, and it helps me keep organized that way. Like all my GI Joe like 1 through 30, what are we on now? 304 is like all in like nice order. I have like my own digital versions of those for my videos, but outside of like a CLZ or tracking app, I do maybe a little biased, but I do feel like I'm keeping on top of things pretty well.
Todd says, just want to say thanks for the content, JLS. Been watching your videos for years. Great wealth of information.
Thank you, Todd.
Again, it seems like you put a lot of work into it. So you got back into toys. Was there anything that you gravitated to, or was it just like you started getting something? And I do think nowadays, like you see these big athletes, and when I say big athletes, I mean the pro football players that are just they're super into toys and superheroes. So it's not looked down upon. Which I know when I was younger, like you couldn't do that. Hell, you couldn't be a skateboarder, and people like you. You were an outcast. But
well, skateboarding when we were coming up, or when I was even in the 90s, it was still very much subculture. It was rebellion, and those are the kids who were smoking and skipping class, and just going to the 7-Eleven, and
or like me, straight edge and not doing any of that.
Yeah.
I'm like the exact opposite. Like, but you're a punk rocker who's a skateboarder who doesn't smoke, doesn't drink, doesn't do drugs, doesn't have tattoos. Yep.
Oh, really? You don't even have the XXX tattoo?
Nope.
Oh,
No
that's like the epitome of like the straight edge, right? The XXX.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of people go from having that straight edge tattoo to no longer being straight edge.
Yeah.
People with
that was the gateway to the other things.
Yeah, the X's on their face. Now they've had them removed. Some people may have seen there's a couple memes of a guy. He has 13 tattooed on his face, and he's in a Christmas sweater with his kids. And then there's also a picture of him
Is that Post Malone?
At a soccer game. No, this is well before Post Malone. And I remember when I first saw it, I'm like, I know that guy. Like, I know Dave. Like, I knew Dave before he had tattoos and was a punk rocker. But But he was like this big. I mean, he's a big guy. Now he's a big steroid guy and big pot smoker. But he was all straight edge. Always get in fights if people weren't straight edge, and then you're like, yep. Well, I don't need the tattoo.
Yeah.
I'm good knowing that's who I am and how I've always been and probably always will be. So
That's like what we were talking about, not to get into it, but backstage, right? It's like you don't need these other things to validate, like, your decision for something. It's just you
yeah,
based on you and knowing what is right and what is wrong. So it's kind of in that same vein of, that conversation we were having.
that's exactly it. Like I don't, yeah, I've never been a person who needs someone else's. I don't need someone else's affirmation to
Mhm.
know what I'm doing is okay. I grew up
Exactly.
a skateboarder, and listen, I butt heads with people, or I used to a lot. I would tell people soccer sucks, and they'd go, "What if I told you skateboarding sucks?" I'd say, "Awesome." It doesn't make me enjoy it any less. Then why would you say that? I'm like, because I don't like it. But you
It's
know
like
what? I
you're
want
perfectly entitled to your incorrect opinion.
Yeah, I want you to look at me and go, "Fuck you, skateboarding sucks. I love soccer." Exactly. I tell
That's right.
people their music sucks. And they're like, "What do I tell you punk sucks?" Doesn't make it any different that I enjoy it and that I love it. Just like if I tell you country sucks, which it does, that you should not enjoy it. Like you should still enjoy it and tell me,
Yeah,
"Hey, you're a fool." um,
exactly. My opinion is my opinion. It's not a fact, I'm right about my opinion, you're right about your opinion. And that's
exactly. I just don't
yeah.
like when people. I don't like when people say stuff that is clearly untrue. That
Mhm.
where I'm like, all right, listen. Like when people say, uh, you listen to all this punk, they don't even sing about anything. I'm like, all right, well, let's just back up because go listen to punk music, and I would say the majority of it is about society. It's about
Mhm.
friendship. It's about camaraderie. Yes, there's a lot of other stuff. Like I'm okay with you saying that. Hey, it's just a bunch of screaming. Okay, I get that, but there are
I
meaningful.
use those same arguments when my dad wouldn't let me buy Nine Inch Nails or Rage Against the Machine CDs.
And that's just it. People don't actually read the lyrics and understand like what these people, what they actually believe in. Um, oh boy, oh, Clint's coming in throwing some words out.
Yeah.
JLS can vouch for me in thinking Quick Kick is the goat. That's not something that's going to end this stream, is it? You don't think? The greatest thing that Quick Kick ever did, right? Was get beat up by Storm Shadow.
Yeah, true.
Are you a Quick Kick fan?
I do like Quick Kick, and I like the whole story about how he was trained by Shang-Chi from
Okay,
Marvel. That's like a
all right.
nice little esoteric thing, part of his story. Um, can't wrap my head around, the barefootness, but
You don't think
um,
that's a good move when you're on a snowmobile?
not at all. Yeah, and it's definitely not regulation either.
Uh, Clint also says, dude, seeing JLS in person is great. After being away for 20 years, he's caught me up on all the G.I. Joe vids.
Thank you,
We're
Clint.
we're we're gonna get into that. So if you're gonna have some questions, I want you guys to stick around and ask. So that's what brought you back into toys.
Mhm.
Is there are there any specific lines that you have to have, or are you just nitpicking whatever you think looks good?
I'm I've never been like a completist or a completionist. It's just I have the lines I know I like, and then it's just the characters or the vehicles or things within that pique my interest, and those are the things I go for. But I've never felt like I got to catch them all. Look here, I kind of cherry pick some stuff, but
Yeah.
um, that's kind of how I approach it. And so for me, that works. If other people do it a different way, perfectly fine. But for me, what that does is take away a lot of that FOMO, right? So I can just make much more logical decisions about what I want to add to my collection or not. And I don't feel like this emotional like urge to, need to run out and, get this thing, or I feel like shit for a week if I missed the pre-order on it.
But do you feel like you have? Do you feel like you're one of those people that is has an addictive personality?
Mm,
Because it doesn't sound like it to me when you talk about toys, but then you're showing me all those comics that you're getting, and
yeah. Yeah, it just, I don't know. I don't think I do, but I think that people who do have an addictive personality would probably say that too. It's not a problem. I can stop when I want to.
well, no,
Um,
it's funny because um, an old friend of mine said it's a good thing that we don't drink, and I'm like, yeah, it is, but why do you say that? He said, because we always have to be the best at everything that we do, and we have to go full out. That if we started drinking, we'd have to be the best alcoholics we could be, and that'd just be bad.
yeah,
And I was like, I never looked at it or thought of it that way, but you're actually correct.
yeah,
But it is hard because obviously I try and be a completist with classified, and I have been so far. But I like to dabble in other things, and again, you can't even see what's up above it. But I had to feel what Mythic Legions were like. They're amazing. I didn't have to go down that wormhole. To like I have to have every single one.
right.
But
So I have a question for you.
yeah,
So you do reviews and you do a really great job of it, by the way. So,
thank you.
definitely keep that up because I really enjoy watching those reviews of yours. But do you feel like with the line, because you do the reviews, that you feel more compelled to get every character or every figure rather, for the sake of the channel and, kind of keeping the content moving forward? Or is that not, a factor in your decision?
For classified, no. When it comes to classified, I don't feel for the channel that
Hmm.
I need to be a completionist. I just have this. I just love it.
Yeah.
I love seeing the numbers downstairs, but I do like because I've done every single one. To when I get one, I want to do it. So if I was to get a figure a month later, I don't have a problem with doing it because I want to have it where if people are coming to the channel and it's 6 months later or a year later, they're trying to decide whether or not they should you know um, go on eBay and pick up this figure. They can look at the reviews and see what I thought of it. Um, but I do feel that I have to. I feel like I have to open it on camera and do a review because of how people have tuned in to like what I do, and they
Hmm.
like from that point of view. I don't. There's a lot of great reviewers that already have a figure out, and they're showing it, but I want to show people from the moment it's open. So that's why you'll see them get done like right away because I got to get the figure out. Like
Right.
I have to play with
Free
it.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like that. I have
Free it
to.
from its prison.
Um, but no, I haven't because there's so much other stuff that if I really wanted to review other things, I could. But
Hmm.
I really do enjoy doing it.
Okay. Yeah, it's a
It's
good answer. I'm just curious.
no, that's
Yeah.
great. I mean, I have no problem answering, and I'm going to be as honest as possible, just like I do with my reviews.
I hope so.
Wait, again, I think you'd be surprised how many people don't seem honest. That you just go, it's not what you
Yeah,
said before.
exactly. Yeah. People pick up on that stuff. People are a lot more intuitive than other people give folks credit for. So, yeah.
Yeah, and what's actually kind of funny is I was talking to somebody and they were telling me they're like, I don't think a lot of people liked you at the beginning, and they've really come around. And I see a lot of them in here, and I've talked to a lot of them. And I'm like, listen, I am pretty gruff when it comes to things. I'm going to tell it how it is. That's just how I've always been. I've never needed acceptance from anyone. And it
Hmm.
sounds kind of weird, but I've never cared. And I think a lot of that was growing up as a
That's that
skateboarder.
punk life.
Yeah. I mean, that's a lot of it. Like
Yeah.
a lot of my friends that were like, why are you hanging out with the jocks? I'm like, because I'm friends with them. Like, I don't care. Well, we're skateboarders. They don't like skateboarders. I'm like, no, dude, they don't like you. Or, like you guys are both act like assholes to each other. So how about one of you stop, and see how it is. But that's just how I've been, and I think from what I've read and talked to people, they just like the fact they're like, you just seem very genuine. You give your opinion. I don't try and go out and hurt people's feelings. Sometimes it happens. Unless you live on an island and you're a fucking viper, then you're a piece of shit. Try not to go down that road today. Trigger warning. But yeah, it's unique being up here, and you don't really think. I didn't try to be an actor, so to think that you're kind of like you're kind of hidden behind the camera. You've already heard someone say like it's weird seeing your face.
Right.
I'm not, like I said. If someone sees me, don't feel shy to come up to me and just kind of chat with me or whatever. But it is strange. Like I'm not an actor. I'm not some star, but I do get the looks of people noticing me now, and it's kind of, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, it's a little bit awkward, It's like that first time when somebody like recognizes you, and it's like, well, I'm not quite sure how to react to this situation right now. What do I do?
I kind of got it from skateboarding, because when I started skating, everyone knew me from the skate park. So people would come up to me like, "Oh, you're punk rock skate dad. And, hey, come on over here. We got some bratwurst, or we got some hot dogs. You want some?" But this has become way different. This community is very, I don't know. It's a very unique community. It's the best way.
It is,
and in a good way. Well, Clint says, the first time I heard punk, he said the Cat Slayer wouldn't fun. I disagreed, but I liked his opinion. Punk definitely keeps it real. Clint, I still believe those numbers were fudged. Because it sat at like 1,000 for a long time, and then it magically jumped.
The last minute.
Yes, out of nowhere. So, okay, so I want to get into your YouTube channel.
Okay.
And all the videos that you do, because that is how we got to know you. I was like super excited, like when I saw you pop in. Like, oh my god, like, dude, this guy knows who I am. Like, he's here on my live stream, which is good. And I don't mean that it's good that you found me. It means that you are out in the community and you're seeing what other creators are doing. And there's a lot of people that they have a big subscriber base, and they don't bother jumping in on a smaller channel because they think it's beneath them. I think, we've all seen
that's a shitty attitude.
It is such a shitty attitude. Before we get started, I just want to say, like, I've talked to a lot of people, and I said, listen, I understand, like, when I had Lenny on, when I agreed to do Russ, Shardamus, and I'm like, in JLS, big subscriber base. I know that when I have them on, I'm probably gonna get eyes on me of people that normally wouldn't find me, and it's gonna be something that's gonna be more of an evergreen stuff, because someone will find it and they'll want to check it out, and hopefully I get some subscribers from it. But at the same time, I like having the smaller people on too, because I know that they're looking at it as like, oh my god, this may help grow my channel. And if there's anything that I can do, and again, I'm not trying to say I'm big, some big time or anything, but it's like I've learned so much along the way, and if I can help someone, through their journey of doing this, awesome. I enjoy doing that more than trying to get somebody else to slingshot me up. I'd rather shoot someone above me. And someone made a comment, yes, they were joking about, it's all fun until, Tony has more subscribers than Punk. And I'm like, anytime, man. Like, I don't have that attitude, man, because I'm going to put what I want into this. And if someone puts something into it and they grow because they're just genuine, they put out good content, then I will be the one applauding them all the way.
Yeah, so, I think you kind of, people do a disservice to themselves to measure your own success against somebody else because their situation, their channel, their audience is different. It's not apples to apples, right? So you kind of have to gauge it on yourself and your progress and where was I yesterday, where was I a month ago, a year ago, and what have I done since then, right? But
Yeah.
just because um, you know David or Turkish Murphy is growing in a different way and you're growing in a different way. That doesn't mean that, one of
Yeah.
you is doing something wrong. You're just, growing. I don't know kind of where I'm going with that, but that was my thought.
No, like I used to always say like if I tell someone or if I tell someone I want to be as good as him at skateboarding or I want to be better than him at skateboarding, it's not because I want to be better than him. It's
Yeah.
because I think he's that good. I want to be that good or better. But I assume that if someone is that much better than me, and this obviously when I was younger, that by the
Maybe the
time
next
I get
Andy
to that
Mack.
point, they're that much further ahead. And I'm gonna be shooting for them again. Not because I'm shooting for them, but because it's like I love what they're doing. Um, and to me, it's just like and I think that's how it should be here. Like
Yeah.
I can see what you're doing. Like I want to be like at his level, not because I want to be bigger than him or better than him, but because he's doing such amazing content. But by that time, I would assume that you're going to be that much further. Um, and there are some people you want to crush.
Yeah. Some islands you want to sink back into the ocean.
Okay, so
That's a goal for everybody.
but I did
Yeah.
want to say that I love seeing that you're in. Again, it says you're in the community. You're not acting big time, and I do hate that. And there's a bunch of the YouTubers, and a lot of them I'm friends with, a lot of them I like, but you'll never see them pop up at a smaller channel because at least it comes off as like, well, it's not really worth my time. So,
Yeah.
um,
Well, I'll be honest with you. There's folks, Chad, some other people who are really good with the community aspect, right? Connecting with the audience. You highlight comments, you talk through like with the audience, with people, all this reach out, like outreach to folks. And I think that's fantastic. And those are the people, I'm not unique in that that's where you get the most the deepest kind of connection with people. Like we've never met in person, right? But
yeah,
I've hung out in your chat plenty, and I feel like in some way I do know you. And granted, this stream and us talking, I know you a lot more now. But we've had that connection before this, right? And if people lose sight of that community aspect, you're really doing yourself a disservice. And if I'm being perfectly honest, my goal for this year for my channel is not numbers. It's not like any kind of like number or revenue driven goal. It's to connect with the audience, to kind of do something like you're doing where you have a better connection with folks, because that's something that I put out the videos, but I don't think that I'm as good as I should be about responding to comments, things like that. So I try to be in the comments and chat with people, and I really want to do these like live shows more, talk with people, just hang out and shoot the shit and have fun. And I feel like for me and my channel, that's something that I'm missing that you excel at. So kudos to you for that.
thank you. No, again, like it is like I forget what it's called. I heard it. I forget where I heard it. It might have been a YouTuber that was talking about it. They were talking about like radio personalities, and we were talking about it before we went live.
Mhm.
You feel like you know these radio personalities, and then again, like you feel like you know some of the callers that call into these sports radio stations all the time. You don't, and you don't really know the
Yeah.
radio personalities, but you
Right.
have this connection, like you know so much about them. And a lot of them feel like they feel the same way about you because you've called in so many times. And this is the same thing. And again, I love seeing everyone, in these comments, just getting to know each other. And I'll say it again. I'll say it to the day I stop doing this. My channel, my streams, they're nothing without this community. Like without the people in the chat, no one is listening to me for 3 hours on a Monday night.
Yeah.
If the chat isn't doing what it's doing, and I see the comments too at times, and I'm like, I see
Yeah.
there's a conversation going on, and I'm like, sometimes you highlight it and then you realize, oh shit, that's part of a conversation. But then you get distracted and you're trying to read back to it and figure out what they were
Right.
talking
It's like,
about.
what the fuck was I talking about again? I completely forgot. Yeah.
But Jay Astro says anyone who chases clout by YouTubing about toys has probably missed the point entirely. Agree.
Yep.
Especially in this niche. Like if you're clout chasing toys, yeah, go do politics. I guarantee you if I did a politic stream, it would be way bigger and draw way more revenue than what I'm making here. But I wouldn't have any passion for it. I wouldn't have any it wouldn't make me happy. That's for sure. I can imagine talking politics day after day.
Yeah, no.
Or at all.
Too depressing. Honestly, like
it's like okay, I'm not gonna do politics, but I'm just gonna say this. When you look at the two people and you're like, really? These are the two best people we've decided to run this country. I go to elementary schools and I think I would rather have give them the button and go here, figure out things.
Exactly. It's kind of a Kobayashi Maru, right? It's an unwinnable situation there.
I've never heard that that term used, but I think that works absolutely perfect.
I try to work that in when I can. That's what she said.
Fatrid says Roman for president. Well, no, I'm not gonna say anything. Not gonna say anything because then people will say I'm picking sides. He is more coherent than the current president. I'm just gonna say it. He is more coherent than our current president. All right.
He stays awake longer.
What?
He stays awake longer.
That's pretty bad too, because I might pass out pretty easily. Okay, so onto your channel.
Mm-hmm.
How did it come about? Like, how did you, like, did you start off saying I'm going to do this, or if I go back in your catalog, am I going to find some stuff that you're like, I really wish no one will ever watch again? Because I know if you watch my early reviews, I'm like, they're there. You can watch them. I just don't know why you want to.
Yeah, exactly. So actually, if you look at my about page or whatever they call it, it'll say, channel started in 2011. The reason it says that is because I'd gotten a smart TV at the time, and it came with some free movie codes. I could only watch them or like kind of cash in the code if I opened a Google account, which tied to YouTube. That's where you can watch movies on YouTube, of course. So that's how I had to get it. I didn't really start YouTube like making content until the end of like 2015, beginning of 2016. I was looking at the time for some just comic people, right? Comic reviewers, seeing what other people. I think I had looked up like a movie or something like that. I don't remember what it was. I'm not going to try to guess. And then the algorithm was just doing its thing, and it put up some other, videos that, hey, check this out. And, and I noticed people were doing some videos on like comics, like, hey, this is my new Cobra Command. Actually, these, I don't want to get distracted. These are from New York Comic Con. You ever seen these?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're ash cans, but anyways, I don't know why I did that. But see how easily I get distracted? That's what I do with my collection too. Like, oh, look at this. Oh, hey, shiny new toy, Then I just wind up with a bunch of random crap. But I was looking up like comic stuff and ended up seeing some people who were doing comic hauls. And I said, hey, I can do that. So I started doing some comic hauls and, being part of the comic book community. And, there was not a lot of people at the time who were doing that. There was a good community, but not like what it is now. And just kind of making friends through that and built out, kind of a, like, not a clique, but like a little group that, I would hang out with. And we started a live show. We did our own live show for a while. It was more of a vidcast. Pull the audio file afterwards and then upload that to like Spotify and iTunes and whatnot. So that was the podcast part. But doing live shows for a while, just talking about, news, comics that were coming out, some stuff that was happening in that world, movie news, speculation, one of the things that we were doing a lot of is like, hey, this movie's coming out. I wonder what characters are going to be in that movie. and then okay, what comic books did those characters first appear in, and then that's what we would talk about. So kind of stuff like that, which was fun. And then that just kind of faded out for a while. And one of the reasons I asked you what I did earlier, because I knew we were going to get to this, so callback, is that I was starting to feel like I was buying a lot of comics just so that I had something to show on camera. And
Oh,
it was like that pressure of doing that just kind of got to me. And I started to think, well, I love the kind of what I'm talking about, and, comics and collectibles and this whole world, but I don't want to feel like pressured, like I have to go buy something just so I can make a video. And now I have this thing that I don't love having, right? It's just taking up space and collecting dust, or whatever the case may be. So then I started trying to think of other ideas about what can I do to still talk about all this cool shit that I like. And that's when I started to kind of evolve the channel more into a very less polished version of what I do now, which is when I got a lot of comments about the delivery I was doing then. So those videos are really rough, but that essentially is the evolution of where I started, what I was doing then, and how I ended up kind of doing the content that I am now.
all right. So, okay, so I do understand. Okay, so okay, I'm gonna kind of backtrack. So God, I don't. I do feel the need to put up content because I enjoy doing it. Does that make sense? But
Yeah.
I don't feel the need like I would have to do every. I don't feel like I need to collect every figure to do it, to do the content. But I do feel at some things I have to do it just because I enjoy it, especially if I haven't put anything out in a while.
Hmm.
I and even I know it's going to get 150 views, rather than a classified will get anywhere from 2 to 3,000 views. Um, but I will say this: there is a when I buy like an army builder and I buy a second one because I pick it up, and you just open it off camera and you're like, this is very relaxing. It is a really weird feeling. So I just kind of wanted to clear that up because after you said that, I was like, okay, I understand I understand what you're asking better now. You were muted.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
Okay.
I'm not muted. No. There was some background noise, so I didn't want that to cut in while you were
oh,
talking.
okay. Uh, so were there any specific characters or lines that you thought you wanted to do when you started doing this? Because your whole channel is character bios, correct? For the most
That's
part?
what it is now. Yeah.
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 Because
And I think
I
somebody
didn't
asked it before about DC. So I mostly do Marvel and GI Joe. Some other stuff like I'm actually starting to put together a Jason the Wheeled Warriors video. Um, so that will be something on the horizon. But I want to make sure I do it right, and I haven't rewatched it in a long time, so I want to like sit down and just like rewatch the whole show and just kind of get back into it so I can make like a competent video for people, right? And for myself. So that's going to be a little bit of time, but so there are other, I guess the point of me saying that is there are other like franchises or lines that I do talk about, but predominantly it's Marvel and GI Joe. I have done some DC, but I'll tell you, Warner Brothers is very trigger happy on the content copyright.
Yes.
They're very happy to get people dinged and strikes for that. So I'm very hesitant to do a video on that for fear of getting a strike on the channel. So outside of that reason, I would love to do more DC character videos.
I want to come back to that in 1 second, but I want to answer Damon's question. So do you only review what you like? So you just post just for posting? So that's one of the reasons why I have a problem turning over stuff because I don't buy stuff. I mean, I buy stuff because I want to check it out, and then I will do a review because, hey, you know what? Hey, this is my experience with it. But I don't turn around and sell my stuff, and I'm having a hard time because almost everything that I bought, I've wanted. But yes, I there are some things that I've started to purchase, like the gridiron stuff, even though I do like it from what I've seen. Everything I've gotten is pretty good because a lot of people they don't get gridiron, and I want them to see what they're getting. I should have in the next day or two a couple Arsenal pew pew weapons, right? So I can review them. I do want to start getting different loadouts and weapons so I can review on the channel. So
Mm-hmm.
I do become a channel where people are like, all right, I want to check out Jay's Armory, right? Boom. They come over here and they go through reviews of like weapons for 6-inch figures. So those types of things, yes, I will purchase specifically to review. But like a Mythic Legions, I'm not gonna go buy one. I bought the first one just to review it, and I think I bought even the second one to review it. But now, if you see me buy a Mythic Legions, it's because it's a figure that I wanted, and I figured, hey, if I got it, I might as well do a review of it. Um, it
Yeah.
is a therapy version of me opening it up and going through it, but it also gives people a chance to see what they're getting. Everyone knows what they're getting with the classified now for the most part, but there are people that are still wondering like, should I pick up this figure? And that's the line. It's just like I might as well just keep it going. I've done every single one. The
Mm-hmm.
only one that I did a double of was Tomax and Zaymot. Because I was like, why would I review them separately? They're the exact same figure, just a couple mirrored. Just
Those
a
are two
couple.
I picked up at Ross. They're like $6 each.
Yes, I bought them a long time before they showed up at Ross.
Yeah.
So, yeah, again, I'm only going to review things that I really do like. Like other than if it's the first time. That's why I got AWOC because I had heard so much stuff about them, and I was like, you know what, let me do a review. And a lot of it also comes down to, especially when it came to Valaverse at the beginning, people were happy. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
this is one of the first honest videos that I've seen. And that's really what started this into taking this serious is the Valaverse. Because unfortunately when Valaverse, and I think it's still like this to be honest, people either say they're the worst piece of shit ever or they're the greatest figure ever. And I was like, it can't be that. There's got to be some sort of middle ground. And they had some issues to begin with, but not enough issues that I wasn't willing to continue to purchase into the line.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see how many that I've done. And unfortunately, I did one, and people are not happy with me because I didn't like the ghillie suit. But hey, you you should know what you're going to get into when you show up here. I'm going to be brutally honest, in my opinion. It may not be your experience with it. But I don't want to talk about me because you guys know about me. But you asked a question, not you. And I listen, squirrel. So DC, you said you're just a little worried about when it comes to all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I can fully understand because I've seen people with the Motu. So what I wanted to mention about that is I worry because did you see what happened with Spectre Creative?
No.
Do you know who Spectre Creative is?
Yeah, I do.
So I know a lot of people don't like him, and I'm not here to debate whether you like him or not. But there was someone that put over 100 trademark strikes against him on YouTube.
Over 100?
Over 100.
Wow.
Because he used some images of his that were just found on like Getty Images and stuff. And it's like, at what point is there not something that flags on YouTube that goes, oh, wait a minute. This guy keeps on putting strikes. We need to see what this content is.
Right.
And when you start looking at it and seeing that it's just pictures, and it sounds like this guy doesn't really want to work with him. And again, I don't care what you think of the guy or not, but it's worrisome because in this day and age, anyone can put a copyright strike against you. And
But it's not supposed to be like a weaponized button. It's supposed
yeah,
to be for legitimate things.
exactly. And people living on an island that put a copyright strike because his logo was on it, yet the pictures are things that he took off other stuff. Well, basically because he doesn't like what we had to say because he lied about something or was he's just a piece of shit. Um, and that's got to be worrisome for you because you're dealing with you're doing Marvel and GI Joe. Have you had any copyright strikes against you?
I did a video and I don't remember what the content, like the topic was. It was a DC video, and I used a clip from one of the Nolan Batman movies when he was on the Bat Cycle, just like in the city.
Yeah.
And like cool scene. Just anything with motorcycles I like, just easy to police there. But I used that clip and I got a strike for that. And then I started looking into it more, and it's like a lot of people, get these claims from Warner Brothers just around content like that. Um, and maybe it's kind of unfounded now because I have done, I don't want to say plenty, but I've done quite a few DC related videos since then and have not had an issue. I just don't use, like the, clips from a movie or something like that. And then I'm usually fine.
And isn't that crazy to think about? I mean, I think that it's crazy to think the stuff that they, can strike against you.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, there's a very well known skate video that came out in '99, the Birdhouse video, and it was all set to specific music. There's a couple other videos that I know from the '90s that are just the songs like their skating goes to the music. They land when there's a beat or something. But there's one in the Birdhouse, and it's hard to find because it's actually the whole part is done to Under Pressure. Well, they wanted more money later on or something, and so they had to change the music. And if you watch it, it doesn't work because it's not only a skate video, but it's like it's a skit that's all done to the music, and you're like, it doesn't work. And I've always said, like, there is nobody that's tuning in to watch a skateboard video because of the music. As a skateboarder, we learn music because of a video that we watched. Like, that's how I got into punk rock, man. Like, all the stuff that Bad Religion and Pennywise and all those bands were in it. And I remember watching a guy, and he said they were asking about the music rights. He said, man, back then, Brett from Epitaph, he said, hey, someone reached out to him and asked him because they knew him, and he was like, what do you want? And they're like, well, how much you want? He's like, dude, like, you can use whatever you want, because he knew that was going to get more people buying albums from him and getting into those bands. And what a concept. But the fact that you're talking about stuff and you're worried about a copyright strike, that just it's killer, because it can kill your content.
Yeah, and the other thing, I feel like it's a bit of a myopic sort of perspective that the company has, because at the end of the day, I'm talking about something I like, and I'm just trying to celebrate that. But it's also kind of free promotion for the company, right? It's free advertising for their cool shit. And why are you not wanting that free advertising? I'm probably driving traffic towards, hey, buy this book or pick up this cool thing, and they apparently don't want that.
Exactly. And if there's something where like every single content you were destroying something, then it makes sense, because you're like, all right, listen, we've watched your videos. It's not just us you're trying to destroy. It's this company and that company. Right. It makes sense. Matthew says the bots and sub companies strike videos for big companies. Less than 5 seconds is fair use. It's legit. You can fight it. And all that's true. And Matthew knows pretty well. That's my moderator. But it's like, is it worth it? Like, It's such a hassle for us because this is not our job. This is supposed to be fun. If the fun gets taken out of it because someone's throwing copyright strikes against you, and here you are sitting there this whole time just trying to create something that's fun, but it's like, okay, well, I have to spend, this Friday just contacting YouTube or contacting Instagram and trying to get this back, and say no, this didn't, this wasn't, attacking someone, or I barely used anything. So
Yeah, and that can take some time, and depending on the content or the topic of the video, by the time it's good to go, it may not even be relevant anymore. So, if you're monetized and that's something that's important to you, you've lost out on the money from that video.
yeah, and again, you have a very large subscriber base, so I'm sure the monetization that you're making is probably more than what I am. But either way, when what YouTube takes, you go, man, I know you got to take some,
30%.
but
Yeah.
do you need to take that much? And I've said before, until Mr. Beast and these big YouTubers put up a class action lawsuit against them, it's not going to change, because they're
Yeah.
okay. Well, you can go to Rumble, enjoy it. Go ahead, guys. Like, it still benefits us more to be here because everyone's already on YouTube.
Yeah. It's usually like, around 30%. And it does suck, but at the time, can you imagine? So I don't know, like how many hundreds of videos do you have on your channel right now?
Like, I got way more than I should.
Or thousands, whatever
I
it
don't
is.
have that many. I want to say
Yeah.
around 500.
Okay. Multiply that by how many gigabytes of data that would be.
Yes.
And then imagine how expensive that would be to upload to your own server and host that on the internet.
Yes. No. And okay. So, God, how can I? I don't like discussing this because it makes people think twice about supporting you in many ways. It's the super chats. That's what gets me. Because I understand you have to have your cut, and I agree with it. It's the cut they take, and then you get taxed on it. And then if you send me a super chat, and this is how I understand it. So if I'm wrong, and you actually have the legalese, please tell me. But if you send me a super chat, you get taxed on what you sent me from your state. I get taxed on it from my state. And then, come Uncle Sam time, Uncle Sam taxes me again.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, wait a minute. There's
something. And then if you want to spend whatever's left, then you have to pay sales tax.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to me, it's like, if you want to send me a $10 super chat, you're saying, I want to support this creator. Mm-hmm. And yes, YouTube has to have some cut, but when you see their cut, you're just kind of like, they don't want to 30% support you.
Yeah, exactly.
But I don't want to get into that because, like I said, I would go down. But I'm totally with you. The amount of servers that they need to use and all that other stuff, it is huge. It is huge because we have no responsibility. They are going to hold everything open. And again, I do appreciate it. And technically, it doesn't cost us anything. I mean,
right.
A lot of it is supporting.
Just to be clear, that was me playing devil's advocate a little bit. I don't like it either. So I just wanted to be clear on that.
No, you know what? Graph says, take my money, Lord Google, and tax. No, you know what? Okay, I love that you brought up the devil's advocate. We're going to go back because I got a few things started that I do want to talk.
Okay.
Do you, I don't know. I don't know how often you do streams, but do you find yourself doing the devil's advocate and then people automatically assume that's how you think? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so not on streams, but sometimes like in real life, off of YouTube, I'll be like sarcastic, or I'll just say like a stupid comment, or just trying to be funny, or sometimes that goes over people's head. These days, people take things way too literally, so I find myself getting into trouble sometimes with that.
Yes, I do too, and like I said, I've had people that think I believe a certain way because I'm arguing how I believe like certain people might think. Like, I can see why they think like that. Has nothing to do with that, and again, that's one of the things that Matthew's always said. Like, people don't know, and that's a good thing. As long as people don't know where you're coming from, that's cool. And
Yeah.
so,
If you're doing like a review and kind of people, you know, it's nice to balance it in that way, right? There's nothing is perfect, right? I mean, I think we can all agree on that. There's no
oh yeah,
like, maybe with a couple exceptions, but you know, so there's going to be some pros and cons with everything, and that's the point of a review, is to, you know, balance those things out and share the full scope of something. And you know, if you don't do that, you're one way, you're a hater. The other way, you're a shill, and you know,
So, okay, I gotta say something quickly here. This is weird
yeah,
because because Matthew was like, that was a super sticker. So I thought this was a super chat coming over the other week, and he forgot to put anything in it. But it's a super
this
sticker.
year.
Yeah, so on
Oh.
StreamYard, you can't see it, but I'm looking on here, and this, and Damon Knight, these are super stickers. And you can also like the comment. I didn't realize you could like. I can't do it on the StreamYard side.
Oh,
This is
okay,
me just
cool.
learning something here. So I'm looking, I'm like, oh my god, look at this! Like people are liking these things, but they look
Huh.
completely different. That's weird.
And now we know. And you know what they say about knowing?
It's half the battle.
Boom. Boom. You got it.
Um, okay, so back to your content really quick. So I want to go back to some of these, um, a few of these messages that I had starred here. So
Okay.
Crusty Old Crow had said, "Do you get a lot of?" Okay, we already talked about. Do you get a lot of? I want to go back to this because there might be some people that aren't watching. So, do you get a lot of messages correcting character info in your videos? Is there an example? You don't have to give the example, but I know we discussed this, and
Yeah. It's a magazine, not a clip. You son of a bitch.
people love to correct you.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's absolutely funny because I did a couple reviews and I had the wrong legs on the O-ring figures, and I didn't realize because they were done so like they were something that I had changed when I was a kid, right? So I didn't even realize like all my like the four major dreadnoughts, they all had different legs on, but they were all their legs. They were just swapped. And Mr. Popinski had actually commented about it really quickly, and he sent me a message like, "Hey, you know, those are the wrong legs." I was like, "Let me go downstairs and check my book here." And I pinned the comment, so it's the first one. Oh my god, there must have been like 3 or 4 more people that had to let me know. And it's like, did you not see where I pinned the comment?
Yeah,
So
exactly. Yeah.
you know, I don't want to keep going. Yeah, okay, thank you. I know. Like after a while, you're like, read the comment. It's right there. I put it at the beginning. But people do love to correct you. Like I said, I think you know that.
Yeah. There are some things with, you know, with G.I. Joe, whether it's animated or in the comics, that don't like make sense, so to speak.
Yeah,
So sometimes in my video, I try to kind of bridge the gap there between the reality of the thing and what we're actually seeing on screen. So like there was one example um where they were up on the underneath of a his tank, and there's a bar that goes along, which you don't see on the bottom of like a regular tank. And the closest thing I could think of was like a transaxle. Like I don't know what else they could possibly have been on when they were, you know, passing around frozen fudgy bars, but that's what they were on. So you know what I'm talking about now, right? Um, so that's kind of what I said that that they were kind of hanging off of, was Alpine and, you know, Quick Kick and what's his face there, Mr. Happy with the frozen fudgy bars. And so I had a bunch of people saying, there's no transaxle on the bottom of a tank. And I'm like, well, explain this thing that he's laying on then, you know? So it's kind of stuff like that comes up, and, you know, maybe I could have been more clear about, okay, this is me speculating about what this thing is versus like, this is a fact of, you know, that I'm
that's
sharing.
that's so funny. That it's like, dude, his tank isn't a real tank either. Um,
Exactly. Yeah.
so Clint asked, "Where's Mr. Popinski been? Hope he's all as well." I talked to him today. Um, he's on Instagram more than anything. So he'll pop in here, but I talked to him today. Yeah, he's good. He's complaining about the he pointed something out. He's like this is the type of stuff that drives me nuts. And it's like one little. He's like, it's just me, but
Yeah.
okay. So
Oh,
Crusty.
and by the way, Turkish Murphy got it. It was Zook I was talking about. Bazooka.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Crusty Old Crow. This is something we discussed. He says an entire character bio in 20 minutes is a lot to cram in, especially characters that have been running for 40 plus years of lore. It's impressive. And again, I do agree because I think that 15 to 20 minutes that you do is you do a perfect amount. And maybe it has something to do with the speed that you talk.
Yeah. You know, I know personally what my attention span is. So, you know,
So
that ties into it. But I want to remember that comment because I think I saw another comment that we may get to later that actually ties into what Krusty just said. So
about the speed.
yeah, just kind of like the overall length of the video and like the 40 plus years.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was trying to come. Is this why I need a producer? But I also don't have money. So, but Matthew, my moderator, I knew he was going to say this, and that's what I was expecting. He said, "Love the videos." This was after someone said that you talk a little too fast, and you kind of explained it, going slower. And I watched Matthew type this, and he's like, "Love the videos," but I know I've commented before with stuff like that. I listen to everything in 2x speed unless it's live. And I was waiting for Matthew to say something because I know this exactly what he does. He watches things a little bit faster so he can get through it. And while that guy had asked that and said, "Hey, maybe you talk a little too fast. Maybe you can slow it down." I'm thinking Matthew right now is just like typing out. Because I just said, you just kind of have to rewatch it because we do. Because you're not an AI, and again, I think that's one of the good things about what you're doing. That's the speed of your voice. It's hard. I think if you purposely try and slow something down, then people realize. If you're pausing, and then you move on to the next sentence, and then people hear that. They're like, "That's not how he talks." I've been watching his videos for 10 years. Why is he?
Right. Yeah. And you want to keep it like engaging and not have like too much, dead space, because that's when people start to check out.
Yeah. And again, it sounds like you've done a lot of research on just YouTube in general and a lot of people thought it was like how to grow, but it's how to create better content for the people listening. And in turn, that is growing. It's like,
I mean, yeah, exactly. Like the core of it is, you make good quality content. You put out a good product. The other stuff can get people to your channel, but the good content that you're putting out will keep them there, and that's the difference.
Yeah, and I'll equate it to working out. Like you work out to get stronger, but the byproduct of getting stronger is you grow. And I don't think everyone always understands that, because I'm like, I would have been happy being a big muscular guy that didn't get stronger. Because listen, bench pressing 80-pound dumbbells is 80-pound dumbbells. I don't care how big you are. That shit gets dropped on your foot, it's broken.
Yeah. So bench pressing free weights is like the most difficult part is when you're done and having to like drop them on the floor without tearing your muscle, that part is like the difficult part. Or picking it up, and then getting it like, yeah, I don't want to get too much into that, but
I had learned, I would start from my knees and sitting and then swing back and push them up. And when they would come down, I would drop them down at the same time, which I know you're not supposed to drop them, but I'm sorry, if you're pushing up 80 pounds, you're pushing up 80 pounds. But when you drop them, my hands would stay around them so they wouldn't bounce all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
And the only people that would really bitch at you are people that are much smaller that don't realize, they have to go down.
Exactly.
Jeff Butler says, Jesse does so many videos and clearly does a ton of research. It's okay for minor mistakes to be made when the batting average is so high overall.
Thank you, Jeff. That's nice to say.
I agree with that. And I think it's good when you're willing to say, "Hey, I may have made a mistake," and I can say that I'm
Mhm.
sorry and that I made a mistake, and you apologize for it. I think it's hard for people to apologize in this day and age. And you're not saying that you know everything. You're not saying, "Hey, this is the be all end all." If something's wrong, hey, it's
Yeah.
something's wrong. But I can't imagine anything would be uh, too off. Jason Kean said, "I've learned so much from JLS comment or JLS videos, and always go to his channel for character lore. But can he please slow down the narration a little?" So I think this is the one that we were
Yeah.
discussing.
I can slow down, but it won't be the same.
And again, it is very true. It is yeah, it is so true because again, you're not an AI, and that's how you read. Um,
Yeah.
again, like here I am. I'm like, I hate reading. If you guys can't tell, I'm not a strong reader. That's why I read the comments, and they're so fucking bad.
We got to get you to say dysentery, right? That's our first
Dysentery.
project.
I can say dysentery. I
Yeah.
just I don't. I see it, and I cannot like pronounce it. And it's strange. There's a God. There's another guy. He pops in from time to time. I wouldn't say he's a regular, but he's on enough. And every single time that he comes on, I try and read his name, and I butcher it. And it's a really easy name. But if you look at his icon, it says the three words. But when you try and read them all in a row, and every time I destroy it, and I'm like, fuck, I just need to look at your little icon. uh, Damon Knight says, "Lawrence, tell them how good our toy shops are in Michigan." Okay, Damon, I first have to. I know this is a nitpick, and don't take this the wrong way. Can anyone tell what I'm about to say? My name is spelled with a W. It is a little thing, but oh my God, does it drive me nuts. But I'm not mad. Uh, I think we have wonderful toy stores here, and I am going to be doing a. I got to get with John from Sergeant Reds, and I got to get with my son because I think he's going to film it and then edit it and everything. But to do a walkthrough of Sergeant Reds, who by far is the best toy store in Michigan, but they're
Yeah.
starting now to become, from what I can tell, they're kind of becoming like Kokomo Toys. It's become a destination, which is awesome because they've run out of room in this big store that they have. But yeah, I think we want
Nice.
everyone to enjoy. Like, if you have a good toy store, I'm shocked when someone's like, "I have no toy stores around me." I'm like, dude, I have honestly got 5 good ones that I can get to within 45 minutes. Like, good ones.
Yeah.
Probably more than that, to be honest. And I feel bad for the people that don't have that. Um,
Yeah, we have some really good places around here. Some, like local comic shops, collectible stores. There's one called Bits and Buttons, which has a lot of like really great things. There's another one called Nowhere Toys, and Tony, who runs that, is really good friends with the guy from Toy Federation, who has a
okay.
big YouTube channel too. He's at all the shows, so they get a lot of stuff into this local shop from Toy Fed, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So I really want to touch on this one. Crusty Old Crow asks, have you ever written your own comic lore, JLS, and maybe making videos of that?
So that's a good question. I haven't done my own comic. I used to try to draw, but I'm not really the greatest artist. But I have written, granted not published, but just kind of writing my own stories in prose novelization, doing like Tom Clancy style stories. Haven't done that in a while, but I think that would be the closest to anything like that.
But no videos about what you've done.
No, no.
Would that seem weird?
It, I don't know. Even if I was making a comic, I don't know. Like, outside of like a teaser video or something like that, like a short,
Yeah.
just to kind of like get people like, oh, that looks pretty cool. But for me to sit there and talk about my own thing for 20 minutes, I don't know if I could do that without it feeling a little self-aggrandizing.
Hmm.
Maybe that's just me being too humble, but I don't know if I could do that.
I'm gonna have to do the current comment. I have like two more. So Damon, I think I kind of addressed this. He says, "So do
Mhm.
you only review what you like, so you just don't, just not for posting?" Yeah, yeah. Like I said, new things I like to do, so other people I'm willing to take. I'm willing to take that risk of buying a $35 figure to see how it is. There's a lot of stuff that I reviewed that my buddy Greg would just drop off and go, "Hey, do you want to?" He hits me up and says, "Do you want to review um, Galactus, HasLab Galactus?" I'm like, "Are you serious?" Yeah. Have you opened it? No. You can open. I don't care. I'm like, he's like, "I don't have anywhere to put it right now." And you're just like, yeah.
Yeah.
I think 500 people watched it, but I got to open Galactus and play around with it and do a short with him riding a skateboard, and it's the scariest thing ever because he doesn't stand all as well as you think that he would. And then this, I think, is the last one that I have. JLS, your GI Joe vids are your highest views, even above your Marvel vids, but your Marvel vids are more mid-level characters. Why haven't you did vids on the Marvel bigger characters?
So this is actually the question I was thinking about when I forget who it was. Somebody else brought up, like these characters. Some of them have been around for like 40 years, and in like you're saying, it's cool that you can do it in like that 15 to 20-minute kind of time frame. A lot of my videos, I don't think for people who do like the kind of more edited versions like me, would agree that a big kind of key to keeping it like tight and flowing and like on point is the editing part. When I start a video and I'm making, putting things together that I need to, it could be, and I do my like audio recording with a program called Adobe Audition. That audio file could be, I've had them be like 45 minutes to 50 minutes long just because I get like carried away. So a lot of that stuff ends up on the cutting floor. So I can keep it to that 15 to 20-minute range. What I'm cutting out is like a lot of the, extra things that don't necessarily contribute to the through line I'm trying to tell with the story, or that like narration, make it like nice and clean there. So I don't hit like everything. Um, and that's just with these mid-tier characters. If I were to do, like the history of Spider-Man or Batman or, Captain America, these like main like A-level characters, those videos would be incredibly long. Like that core audio file would be like an hour and a half, 2 hours long. And after I cut it down, we're talking like an hour video. If I still want to like cut it down and keep it tight, but give enough content to like really tell the full story. So that's why I don't necessarily do the bigger characters, because that video for me and my preference would end up being way too long. Granted, I could do like multi parts, and I could probably do, think about that, but that's kind of my reasoning for that, kind of tying all that together.
I feel like I've watched videos. Actually, I don't feel. I know I've watched like videos of Batman, and you're right. They're like an hour and a half long.
Mm-hmm.
Like the story of Wolverine. It's 2 hours long because so much has happened, and you don't talk fast enough to get it done in 20 minutes. Um, not
Right,
even on, not
exactly.
even on
You have to
Matthew's.
be an auctioneer.
Oh, you gotta highlight this. This is a graph. Seriously, never apologize. Feast off the frustration of others being upset that you're not apologizing. It's more rewarding.
All right, then I am not going to apologize, good sir, for mixing my toys.
Yeah, you know what? Look at that. That is a.
But a full
You're not
circle.
that old yet. You have your mind hasn't stopped. Your mind hasn't gone yet because you remembered he was the one that threw that comment out there.
That's right.
Yeah, Graf says, I wish I had good toy shops in my area, but Pacific Northwest is full of video game nerds, not cool toy people.
Video game nerds and coffee.
Oh my God. That sounds. Yeah, it's crazy. We have one vintage toy store in Rhode Island, and the prices are outrageous. Uh, Damon Light, I'm sorry, Damon Knight is going through again. These ones here, obviously Sergeant Reds. We see John pop in. I like Randy from Nerd Out. He kind of can be gruff around the edges at times. He kind of sometimes doesn't seem like he wants to talk to anyone. Um, Time Travelers is that was the store we went to, but there's dust still sitting on a lot of those toys and comics from when we started going there when we were like 17, 18. And even though it's been bought, and Big Ben's comic Oasis is really good. Like a friend of mine, the singer of his band, worked there. So so I've only seen Sergeant Reds is also in the latest A Toy Store Near You.
Okay.
The latest season of Toy Store Near You on Prime. So
sounds very evil and very nice, according to this comment here.
Well, Danhausen, he's good friends with Randy from Nerd Out too. So you'll see a lot of Nerd Out there too. And Krusty O Crow says, "Thank you for answering those questions, guys. It's great understanding the process you go through. I'm done asking things for now." No, don't seriously, don't.
Yeah.
Listen, we need I enjoy answering questions that I have answers to, or even better that JLS has some sort of answers to, because my answer may not always be someone else's answer. It's
exactly there can be more than one way to skin the cat, which is a weird phrase, but it is what it is.
You know what? I'm sorry. Until just now, I've never really thought about how awful of a phrase that is.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't even like cats, but I don't want to skin one.
Kind of horrific when you really think about it literally.
That is so. Oh my god, that is so bad. I'm sorry. But I will say this about like creating content. And like you said, it sounds like you've probably watched a lot of YouTubers that discuss. And do you find yourself like when you're trying to when you're watching a YouTuber that's helping you to connect with your audience, how to create better? Do you find yourself sometimes having to adjust some of the things they say because it's like our community is a little bit different? It's smaller. Do you find yourself like seeing certain things that you're going, that probably wouldn't work with us?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of do that with, a lot of the things that I do watch. And I think, how can this apply to me specifically, or what would this mean for my audience or this community that we have? And some things would work and some wouldn't. Some of the tips about, how to make a thumbnail, or the way to pace a video, things like that. They may work in some of these other areas, but they don't work here. So you just kind of have to kind of know your audience, so to speak, or know the niche that you're in. But then also don't be afraid to try things and look at what's happening, the response to it, know if it's working, and say, hey, maybe I need to change this and try something out. So it's kind of two sides to that.
The titles, the video title, when they're like, you ask a question. When you ask a question, it creates intrigue. And I'm like, I agree to a point, but I'm doing
like who is soccer?
Yeah, exactly. I'm doing G.I. Joe classified reviews. Unless if there's something that is a disappointment on it, it's pretty much Big Ben review. Big Ben, G.I. Joe Big Ben classified review, because you want people to just see review, right? Now, if you're like, complete disappointment, arm broken, question mark, now you're kind of doing the clickbait, and you better pay up, because I hate clickbait. I hate when someone throws something out there and then you turn in and it's like, oh, okay, you're completely lying about this. And there's the clickbait that does bring you in, and you do address what you said. And again, there's people, a lot of people that just don't. Yeah, they just
Yeah,
don't.
I mean, there's a clickbait where something can have a double meaning, and maybe someone interprets it a different way, but
Yep.
you meant the other way. And then there's clickbait that's just straight up lying. That you
So
get in there and you just feel lied to, and that's just not good.
Turkish Murphy is new. Is one of the newer guys, and he started building a checkpoint alpha out of styrene on Saturday during one of my streams when I filled
Yeah.
in for Oz until he ran out of product. Turkish, I'm going to tell you this. You're working on Mindbender's Lab. If you start building a project during all of my streams, you are going to have a whole, you're going to have a complete city with how much I talk and how much time you have. So I hope you have a big garage that you don't need to park your car in. Yeah. So does anyone else have any questions for JLS? You guys can ask me questions on any stream. So point them towards him because he's the interesting one here.
No, you might be too much credit. But yeah, I'm happy to answer questions. And if not, if somebody has a question, pop a message in my in my comments, hit me up on IG, which I need to be better about looking at my messages on there. I'm gonna commit to that here publicly. To be better about that. Because I know some people have sent me a message. It takes me a few days sometimes to just even remember to, because I don't like post on Instagram and like I don't really open the app a whole lot. So it's not like something that's at the forefront.
I can see you didn't read it. And I'm like, oh my god. And then today I was so like, I was supposed to leave early, and then these people were complaining because their machine, it was down, but I got it working, and I'm like, my boss is basically trying to get them to say no, just come tomorrow, and I'm like, I'm not going to get out till like 4:30, so I end up having to drive out there. I get there just after 4:30. I'm there till after 6. It's an hour and a half drive home, and I'm like, dude, I got to go by FedEx. I got to pick up my my snake eyes because Mezco, you have to have a signature for it. So I had it redirected, but I'm just like, I'm supposed to be getting off a little early, and I'm okay if I didn't because, hey, but I also didn't expect to be stuck working late and then have an hour and a half drive home. And I was just like, and I could see you had like, I could see you were just recently on. I'm like, oh, I hope he doesn't think I'm going to bail on him.
Yeah.
So Graf says, you hate clickbait. The title of this video is Who is Stalker? And we're 6 hours into this stream and there isn't a word of stalker. Well, Stalker is from Detroit. He was once a gang member and then he joined the military.
Yeah. And the rest is history.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I will say this. When I try and do a thumbnail for a guest, I like to just go through their Instagram, if they have an Instagram, and pick something. And usually they have a logo. You had nothing. Nothing. I had to go to your YouTube page. And the only reason why I found that is because that is the profile picture for your playlist of Who Is for G.I. Joe.
Oh, the stalker one?
Yes. And I was so happy that it was Stalker because he's from Detroit. So I mentioned that as much as I can. And it worked perfect, but I was like, I'm going through your Instagram. And that's why I didn't put a link to your Instagram because I know you don't really post stuff. It doesn't seem for.
Not anymore. And when I did, it was a lot of comics, and I had some like when I was going to conventions, I was doing some like cosplay photography, just cool characters and stuff.
But I'm
nothing really relevant to what we're doing right now.
But I'm like scrolling through looking for anything that like had like your name, and I'm like, he has nothing. I like to do like a thumbnail just as a surprise, like. So it shows that I read it. It's like a dating site, You you leave a comment that you actually read it, then they don't respond, and you're like, Thanks a lot. I'm glad I wasted my time.
Exactly.
Well, it doesn't seem like anyone has any other comments.
All right.
Is there anything with your hold on, buddy. Hold on. Well, she's in the shower, so you gotta wait. All right. I love you though. You're still the best. Want to say hi to Roman? Here, come on. Come up here. Say hi. I know. Look over there. Look, there you are. Oh,
Hey.
everyone loves you. Yes. Remember, super chats for Roman anytime. It goes towards his dog treats.
There we go.
So where do you want to take your YouTube channel? Do you just want to stay the same course, or?
I mean, I really enjoy what I'm doing now with, character bios, and just I really enjoy history, whether it's, the G.I. Joe itself, or, you see, and I work in a lot of like the real world history and, different vehicles and planes and whatnot. So I just like talking about that stuff. So and there's tons more characters to get to. Eventually I'll have gotten to all of them, but that's going to take years. So that part's going to stay the same, try to find different ways I can, maybe freshen it up here and there, but just overall that's the direction I want to keep going in. But my goal, and I think I kind of mentioned this earlier, is just be more, here in front of the camera, I guess you could say.
Yeah. It does let people know who you are.
Right.
And it sounds weird because, you could have been an AI voice. Had you not had live streams, you could have just been an AI voice, that no one realized. An AI voice that talks too fast.
Exactly. That's horrible because no one else uses the same AI voice.
Yes. But is there any? Oh, so I've never asked anyone this. Do you have any other YouTube channels?
No, I don't.
YouTube content. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I could fully see like you having another content channel, but I mean, you do put Marvel stuff up there, so.
Yeah, I thought about, because I really wanted to lean more heavily into G.I. Joe, and before it wasn't so much.
Yeah.
And I thought about, well, would it be better if I separate those things? And I didn't want to do that. So that's why I started kind of alternating between like a Marvel video, then a G.I. Joe video, and just kind of keeping it all on the same channel.
No, and again, I mean, I can see the growth of your channel. I mean, what were you at? You have 44,000 subs. That's crazy when you think about it. That 44,000 people watch your content, or have watched your content. But more than 44,000 people have obviously watched it. But again,
for our little corner of YouTube and the internet, I think I'm doing all right.
I think you're doing great. And again, the fact that I see you in chats, that you popped up in mine at some point, and however you ended up here, I appreciate it. But again, I think bigger channels, as we discussed, they need to. Don't look at the big guys to slingshot you. You should also be in there trying to help out, the little guys. And people do notice. People do notice if you never show up in someone else's chat that isn't just a friend of yours.
Mm-hmm.
I try and mention this to some people, but they just don't hear.
It's true. Yeah.
Like, listen to what I'm telling you, and other people are telling you. Show up in some chats. There are people that say, hey, we have an open forum. There's 10 of us that show up on this live stream, and we circulate people in and out, and it's nothing concrete. Pop in one day. But, all right. Well, I don't have very much else, and I doesn't seem like the chat does. Ryan Sweeney, Dreadnought Ryan, says, JLS, thank you for so many great Joe videos. I love putting your videos while I work.
Thanks, Ryan.
Completely destroying a sentence. My mind sometimes reads things way too quickly, or just wrong, one or the other. I'm like Lenny, and I spelled Knox wrong. I don't know if you caught that in the stream.
I did, and then he came up with a excuse about,
Yeah,
it was on purpose.
I
Or it
really
was.
like Lenny. We had a wonderful time when I talked with him, but I I don't know. I just
What was the other one? Like McLeod? I think he had trouble with McLeod. Is
yeah, he
that
said
it?
he had a trouble with McLeod,
Yeah.
which okay, let me just say this. Right, I thought of this guy right away and he messaged me right away. So Bees Battleground, Bobby Bees, does not say McLeod. He pronounces it as it looks. And as soon as as soon as Lenny said he can never remember how to say it, I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait to message Bobby. And it was within 3 minutes. Bobby sends me a message going, "See, he's not. I'm not the only one that can't say it." Like, and then
I say McLeod because of Duncan and Connor.
Duncan and Connor.
Yeah, Duncan McLeod from the clan McLeod. The Highlander, bro.
I've never seen the Highlander.
Oh, okay.
I know. I know. Matthew just like keeled over and went.
Yeah.
But no,
I have. It's not exact, but I do have over here.
But Chris McLeod, he was just saying, he's like, dude, he was like, I know he knows how to say my name. I'm gonna talk to him. I don't know why he said that. Like, I think he was offended that he couldn't remember.
This is like a Highlander sword here.
Oh wow.
It's not a very fancy one, but I just like the design of it.
Yeah, but you know what?
So I told you, I like these movies.
That
Got
is
a cool
awesome.
handle on it. So.
Okay, so all right, so Zoran says, I hate Torch's skull on the flamethrower, also going overboard with the tattoos on characters. I think the skull on Torch's flamethrower is really cool. I think that's just a cool little touch right there.
I mean, I wasn't like super on board with it until you mentioned Motorhead, and then I said, okay, I'm done with that now.
The tattoo thing,
they're getting a little carried away with the tattoos.
Yeah, I think some of the tattoos are good if they make sense. I think
how about Jinx having a full sleeve?
Yeah, they work it on the dreadnoughts, but I don't know if Jinx really needed like a full sleeve, and of course it's missing the elbow, and I do understand why it's missing the elbow.
Yeah.
So I don't mind like small tattoos or specific characters having them. The dreadnoughts, it makes total sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's something I will discuss more on Monday. Even though we did the stream yesterday, I'll be all alone doing all kinds of.
I think it was on your stream. I was cracking up yesterday with the dreadnoughts and trying to figure out if that was like a scar on his head from like a bear paw, or was that like a
yeah, nice eye.
Yeah, that was funny.
It's clearly a scar because you could. When I zoomed in on it, it looks like it's raised.
Yeah, but yesterday it was looking like a Homer Simpson kind of.
Yes.
Haircut.
Oh, it does from a specific angle. That's for sure. Now, did you hear what he said about the teeth?
Yeah, that they're like his coworker.
The sculptor.
Yeah.
The sculptor asked if he could actually use his own teeth because which I think is cool. I like little touches like that. I think that's the story that unfortunately we don't get to hear enough of, and I think that definitely.
Speaking of story, and I know that we're trying to wrap up here, but
I ain't going nowhere.
Do I have it? Here it is. Jinx, her story on Hasbro Pulse says, well, first he said that she has a samurai sword. That was interesting. It's a katana. But Kim, Jinx, Arasha. Wait, is this the part? I'm trying to find something that I read earlier. Hopefully, oh no, here it is. So she has her Naginata and blindfold to recreate her iconic training scene from G.I. Joe the movie.
Now, I have not read the bio, but I
Yeah.
thought that was the reason why they did it too.
Are you gonna do that? I'm not. I don't know. I just thought that was an interesting detail.
I do like the blindfold.
I like the blindfold too, but I'm not recreating the movie.
What movie are you talking about?
It just says G.I. Joe the movie.
I think they meant the cartoon movie.
Okay, that makes more sense.
But you're right. But she does do it in the other awful movie that's live action.
That's what I'm like.
Because as I was trying to think, but she does it because if I remember correctly, I'm not a fan of that movie because of Cobra la 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 la.
Mhm.
I think that's part of the thing. Like she keeps getting her ass beat until she puts the blindfold on.
Yeah,
Which
exactly right.
again makes no sense in real life. Uh, makes absolutely no sense in real life. But yeah, I was actually thinking the
Yeah. Okay, so if it's the animated, then that makes more sense. I'm
yeah.
more on board with that. Yeah. So okay.
But I think the no sleeves is from the movie, the live action movie.
Yeah.
So Matthew says the extended action retaliation movie is good. And I've heard that before, that it changes. Loud. It changes how the movie's actually presented. And we've seen that with a lot of movies, but I have to see it to actually believe that it makes it good. Um, okay, so all right. I really didn't like the SMS launcher's adjustable hitch. You can see they didn't want to show it move to which because it's unstable mess.
Yeah, it fell apart, and he goes, "Oh yeah, see, you can adjust it." That was funny.
Um, I guess we'll see when it comes in. A lot of those things that you have are production samples too, because we've
Yeah,
seen that
true.
with some
Yeah.
of the stuff. Though I have heard that is, I had heard that thing was actually in what had hit shores, but that thing's not supposed to come out to July, which makes me think there's no way that it's sitting in there. But until I actually have it in hand, because there's a lot of things that I thought weren't going to be good, and not just in G.I. Joe. I know people start to saying that I'm a shill, but it makes sense because they specifically said for something that's a different height. Once again, going back to the vamp and the stinker,
Mm-hmm.
because the hiss hook is really low. I don't know if you have the hiss tank, but it's really low. Like it's
Yeah.
so.
That's why they had to make the tow hitch
Yeah,
drop down on this one. Yeah.
which is what they'll do with all that stuff. So, all right. Well, I say we wrap it up. I
All right.
want to say thank you very much. You gave me over 2.5 hours of your time, and that's even speed talking. So,
Yeah, exactly.
yes, that's going to be the new running joke. I never really noticed that you talk fast, but I've heard many people say, "Could you slow down a little bit?" And it's like, have you heard me?
Yeah.
Where can everyone find you if they haven't yet?
Just look up JLS Comics on YouTube. That'll take you right to me. I think I'm the only one with that. No underscore or hyphen, just JLS space comics, and it'll take you right to me. Or if you're in the chat, you'll be able to click on my name. It'll
And
get you right to me.
I do have a link to it in the bio. So if you haven't found him yet, go over, give him a subscribe. I know I pushed in the past two Monday Night Toy Ramblings, Tony and then Ryan. I'm not gonna push JLS because I'm assuming if you found me and subscribed, you've already subscribed to him at his 44,000. Do you have anything coming out soon that you want to
I do
promote?
have a video that after this, actually, I'm going to go start putting that together in Adobe. So I should have that up by this weekend. It's a Marvel video. And then, more G.I. Joe after that. So same pattern.
That was one thing I wanted to
Yeah.
ask. About how long does it take you to do a video?
It takes a while. I think I read somewhere and I kind of it made sense for me. Somebody was saying that, when you're doing like edited content, on average, for every minute of video, it takes about an hour from like the research to the recording and editing and putting it all together, the uploading. If you factor in all of those steps and then kind of the time that takes and then divide it by how long the video is, it does roughly work out to about that long.
So a 20-minute video, you think roughly it takes you about 20 hours worth of time?
Well, when you put it like that, it sounds. No, I'm just kidding. Um, maybe at the beginning, I think that I've been able to shorten that down,
There's
significantly.
I guess I would assume after a while, there's also stuff that you may already know from doing research on other, but you still have to shore everything up because you don't.
Mhm.
Again, like people show up to your channel because they're expecting something very comprehensive. Yeah, maybe you get something wrong, but like we go to someone else's channel to see what he says, only to watch him delete it because we know he's going to be wrong.
Yeah,
Where are
exactly.
Doc's white gloves at? Where's that tattoo on the back of Torch? All right, so we're gonna get out of here. Check out JLS, wonderful content. When a new G.I. Joe figure is about to drop and you may not know it, hell, maybe you even know who Torch is, shoot on over there. Did you do Torch yet? Probably shouldn't just throw him out there. I'm assuming.
I do now. Yeah.
Let's say you want to know who Stalker is. Go over here. Don't click this because we don't talk about soccer. But yeah, great content.
Can I do a quick plug?
Yes, you can.
All right. So if you haven't yet, everybody in the chat, if you're listening afterwards, if you're not a member of A Punk with Toys, I highly recommend it. He's putting out a lot of great things that are not always for the general audience, but you get to enjoy those as a member. The video he recently did on, some comments and his reaction to those is worth the price of admission alone. So if you are not a member, I'm a member. Come join us on that membership crew because it's a ride. There's some fun stuff going on there, and along with the other perks. But that I wanted to put that out there for you because you're doing some good stuff.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That was that was fun. And again, if you're gonna get angry over things, like over comments people make, that's on you. But it's fun. And if anyone is wondering, yes, if it's in capitals, I do yell because if you're writing something in capitals, you're yelling at me.
Mm-hmm. But you gotta just brush it off.
But it's fun because not everyone sees all the comments, and I know one of the guys said he goes, I thought it was going to be short. He goes, I thought there was going to be more by the length of it, but there was only like 7. I'm like, just because the last one took me like 15 minutes to get through.
It's probably what his wife told him.
I mean, it was a novel that he wrote. But I definitely do appreciate that, and I appreciate the memberships that you donated to people. I appreciate you being a member, and I'm definitely going to try and keep putting out membership content for everyone. So I'm going to get out of here.
Yeah.
JLS is out of here. You guys know where to find me on Monday. You know where to find JLS. Thank you guys all for tuning in. I need to get better at figuring out where everything is. All I can say again is thank you very much for your time. I had a wonderful time, and we will see you guys on Monday.
All right. Have a good one. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining.